Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Inview. My guests from all walks of the spiritual community. Message me on Facebook. You can message me there, or you can message me at WhatsApp under Clint, or you can text 403-436-942 if you'd like to be a guest on the show. An amazing, the amazing Patrick Gamble, all the way from Cornwall. Of course, people out there don't know Patrick Gamble is. He's an amazing visionary artist and free-spirited person. He's an immense person, very good personal friend of mine as well, and I can't wait for him to come on. He's very positive, very upbeat, and be interested to see what he's got to say. 7:50 tonight we have Helen Curnow, and a genuine all-round positive person. 8:20 tonight, the amazing Viv Johnson, a very spiritual person, free thinker. She's on the show. And then at 8:50 tonight, there's a return of Matthew John, bringing his spiritual wisdom and knowledge of today's reality. Now, people out there know Matthew John. He's hard hitting. He says it as it is, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then at 9:20 tonight, we have got a universal man on. So somebody from the universe. Hope you're well out there. Hope you all had a good week. And my God, we're starting to see a change in our reality. Maybe it's not quick enough. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. What I do feel is that, I don't think it's healthy. We're all caged up in houses, to be honest. I think it's very important we get out, we get some sunshine, and we get out and meet people, bubble. We're so animals. We like to meet people. And this 50-page, I'm not even going to go into what it all is, because it's actually a load of old bollocks, to be honest, in my opinion. And the whole thing is full stop. It's already been proven time again that and they said themselves that the whole thing has been a bit of a hoax, really. So, it'd be quite interesting to see what happens after this in relation to those that are in power that actually are going to be, they're going to have their ass kicked, basically. And I feel they should do, because I feel they put an enormous amount of fear into ordinary people. And not that are still looking for a path, still looking to open a door, still looking to find their way in this reality. And, what we see here is people that are scared, frightened, in fear. I know it has brought about a different community in lots of ways within the social media, the internet itself, but we're social animals and we like social interaction. As you can see, the lockdown has happened, and we are slowly coming out of it. I mean, yesterday, in London, I don't want to get too much into the weeds of coronavirus, but unfortunately, they have a freedom of right to do, and they have a freedom of how they want to express themselves. So, I totally agree with what they're doing. They're there and campaigning against the lockdown, against the anti-fascist state, and everything else that's going on. And I watched it on Facebook Live. There's lots of different people. One person I was watching, his phone stopped, and that was RT News. That was Russia News. Was wandering around indiscriminately, just interviewing people and speaking to people. Everywhere there was loads of people. Everywhere there was loads of police. Now, what you see on there, it's in hundreds of people there. But they went up. Certain individuals said, no, then we're going to arrest you. And there was a few people arrested, including Piers Corbyn. I cannot understand the logic. I can't understand the logic of I thought, very totalitarian. It didn't. These are ordinary people who've done nothing. They're just there. It's ridiculous. I was watching this. Hello, Gemma Jane Brooks has joined us. Looking forward to the show. So, yeah, I am actually as well. I should come out there and listen to it myself. 20 minutes away, 15 minutes, Patrick Gamble on the show. And hopefully we can have a better phone line to him as well. If we have a problem, coronavirus is never going to go away. It's always going to be here, because there's many thoughts and then many understand of what's going to happen from this point. And they're saying that kids must go back to school in June. and Scotland and Wales are doing different things. Hello, Cosbro. Jason McCusbro's joined us. How are you? I hope you're well. I hope you had a good week. And it's very disjointed. Already, there's massive cracks appearing in the cabinet in this country for our government here, and I do feel that, you know, I feel the whole bow wave of us, and the weather's nice. We're going out, we're going places, we're doing things. I think it's really important. At the same time, that, you know, the ridiculous, well, not even laws, but the ridiculous attitude that I see that the police had yesterday up there, and I'm sure a lot of you see it as well on Facebook Live. And it's interesting, isn't it interesting? One of the things, this is how biased our news is on all channels: Sky, BBC, ITV, Channel 4. No one, absolutely no one covered the demonstration in Hyde Park yesterday at all. The only channel that did was RT, that's Russian news channel, London, that were there and got cut off. Then others were there, and you know, I was just very, very disgusted. I'm very worried about censorship in this country. I'm very worried that we can't have our own say. We can't say what we feel, and it doesn't matter if it's right, wrong, or indifferent. If we feel it within inside ourselves, we must express it. It's very important to bring out what we have inside. And some people say, "Well, Clint, why do you bother? Why do you even bother about thinking about it?" Well, because I don't like being lied to, and I do feel me and the trillions of people in the world are being lied to beyond belief at this moment in time. And certainly in this country, with an absolutely, I mean, basically Boris and his cronies all need to be put in the Hague for war crimes, basically, because they're calling it war. Let's call it war crimes in relation to the populace, in relation to you, me, and everyone else, because they're not going by scientific guidance. They're bumbling along like a bunch of half-wits, you know. As my opinion. Now, you may have a different opinion, but, you know, it's what it is. But as I said before, we have got coming up on the show tonight, 7:20. We have got the wonderful and amazing Patrick Gamble. 7:50 tonight, Helen Curnow will be joining us. 8:20, Viv Johnson will be joining us, spiritual person and free thinker. And 8:50 tonight, Matthew John bringing his own wisdom, and we know what that is. I'm sure he'll have something to say about demonstrations in London. And 9:20 tonight, we have the Universal Man, whoever he may be. As you probably noticed, the show on Thursday was not on this week. I am putting that on a back burner at the moment in time because I feel that things are changing, and we all run with a spiritual ethos within inside ourselves that I don't feel that it's needed at this moment in time. If it is, it will be regenerated and will be recalled and will coming back. Now, let's look at a little bit of news of the week before we get our first phone call. I mentioned this already. Piers Corbyn was nicked yesterday at the rally. And there was around 50 people that was arrested yesterday. And bear in mind that this was a very sociable event. It wasn't violent, but they were indiscriminately causing a lot of problems. There is a massive call for this, 80% back pay rise for NHS. I feel and I do feel what the nurses and the doctors and everyone else has gone through, they need to be paid a lot more money than what they are, to be honest. Why do we pay politicians £85,000 a year and we pay a nurse 20,000? Doesn't seem right to me. I'm sure it's not right to you. There's got to be a leveling point here. We're looking at life and death. Politicians don't do life and death, but nurses on the front line do, doctors on the front line do, carers do. You know, they all need a pay rise. They do a very important job. Everyone that's been doing key holder roles while this government has told us that we must stay in and all sorts. That's the lorry drivers. That's the people that are out there doing whatever, road sweepers to cleaners. They all need pay rises. They all need to be brought into line, because basically it's shown that it doesn't matter how much money you have in the world. When a coronavirus or something comes along, or we're forced into imprisonment, which is what we have been, then, you know, that money is non-existent. Doesn't matter. You can't go and spend it. You can't go anywhere with it. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, nearly 9 in 10 voters polled think doctors, nurses, non-NH staff should get a pay rise. Now, you know what the sad thing is here, and this is very sad, because I do feel they're not going to get a pay rise. We are heading for a 1930s huge recession, which is going to be extremely bad. It's going to be worse than what anything you've ever seen when we can come out and businesses are shut down and everything else. Everything seems quite quiet at the moment, apart from obviously a few demonstrations, things like that. But I'll tell you what, it's going to get a lot worse because there's a lot of businesses that are not going to open again. There's a lot of there's millions of people unemployed right now that their jobs are not going to be there when they come out. Now, it's very important that we cater for these people. And I don't see anywhere in any shape or form on any news channel that are directly looking at this, dealing with it or anything else. They're just bumbling along as if everyone's quite happy. Well, they're not happy. You know, there is thousands of people living on the streets. Nobody's thinking about them. There's thousands of people that are struggling to find food right now or pay for food. You know, we're all lucky if we have food, but, you know, as I said before, the main ethos in what we're in is somewhere to live, food, and to get warm and everything, and clothes and everything, obviously. That's the main thing, not the smartest car, not the biggest house, not all those things. They're non-existent. And this is where we have to change a psyche, if you like. Now, there's two stories that's come back in the news that I've been banging on about for a long, long time. And I will just remind people that what I was text last week, I think it was, with the poor people that were flooded. Do you remember those? Oh, my God, that seems a long time ago now, doesn't it? But all these people that were flooded way, way back up in the North, Yorkshire and everywhere else, they're still not really in their houses and they're living in squalor and nothing's being reported about it. It's very important. It is. Very important it is, because these people are people. We must care about people. Two stories. One is obviously Prince Andrew, who's suddenly resurfaced in the press. Pedophile Jeffrey Epstein arranged for 3 young women to meet Prince Andrew whilst he stayed at the New York mansion in 2010. Next model. That's when he said he had to go. He had to go to America to say goodbye to Jeffrey Epstein and stay in his place because it's convenient, where he could have stayed anywhere, but he wanted to stay there for 4 days, 4 nights. Obviously, lots of things happened in those 4 days and 4 nights. I mean, that interview that Prince Andrew gave is absolute garbage. It's out of this woman. It's rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. Allegedly, I'm saying allegedly. The woman now married to a multimillionaire, jetted between his home in New York to the Caribbean, and she also met on a yacht called Zorro, or a big boat called Zorro. I mean, it's splashed all over the press because this story is not going to go away, and it shouldn't go away, because he needs to go to America, and he needs to go to America to actually tell him what he knows instead of the old load of gumph that he's come out with already. This other story that's come up. Gemma Jane Brooks said, if you found out your mate was a nonce, you would phone him up and end the friendship, not fly and stay with him for several days. I totally agree. I mean, what he came out with is absolute rubbish. I've never heard anything like it. I mean, you know, really, I mean, I'm quite thick. And, oh, yeah, well, of course you're going to do that. You're going to fly hundreds of miles across the ocean to spend 4 days to say goodbye. What I was astounded with, I've seen pictures of him walking in the park where he said he wasn't. And here he is walking in the park. What astounds me, that's Prince Andrew there. What astounds me, look what he's wearing. It's a, you know, they're not even that great. Do you know what I mean? It's, I don't know. It's something not right with him at all. And, you know, it seems to me that he's having a good old... Is he saying goodbye there? Is that what he's saying? Is he saying, oh, goodbye, Mr. Epstein. It's been lovely knowing you. Yes, I'll stay 4 days and I'll do whatever with anyone that comes here. Absolute joke. You know, I'm sorry, but I don't believe in the royal family anyway. Prince Andrew, wow. He needs to go to America. And as he goes to America, they need to send that woman back here. The woman that actually killed a boy. Harry Dunn, which is back in the news. And this week, was on the Piers Morgan show. Well, the Piers Morgan show, it's a GMTV. I actually have a lot of time for Piers. I think he talks a lot of common sense, and I think it's disgusting, absolutely disgusting. No member of the government will go on, his cabinet will go on to that show because they said we don't like being interviewed by Piers. Well, we don't like difficult questions. We don't like to be accountable. We like to do what we like. What a load of rubbish. Dominic Raab has been blasted for handling of the Harry Dunn case. Foreign Secretary Lisa Nandy and Mr. Rash, the Foreign Office, are guilty of a string of unforgivable failings. Motorcyclist Harry, 19, died last August in a car crash, in a crash with a car driven by Anne Sulit, I'm going to pronounce her second name, outside RAF Crowton. She was the husband of a guy that worked at the base and claimed diplomatic immunity and ran off to America. And it's disgraceful. That woman needs to come here, and Andrew needs to go there. It's quite simple, isn't it? The parents will not give up on this. I will not give up on this. Piers Morgan won't give up on this, and I'm sure many other people wouldn't either. It's a straightforward swap, if you look at me. The US State Department has said the decision to refuse an extradition request for Harry Dunn's alleged killer is final. Well, I don't think it is. It's absolute garbage, to be honest. Here we are. What about this headline here? Well, you can't read it, can you? Because it's around the wrong way. 19 million Brits had virus and recovered. Do you know how many people I think had this before the actual virus came out? Millions and millions and millions and millions more than what that is, I think. You must remember, and I say this a lot of times, we all have viruses in our body, and in our mouths we have millions in our and everything we touch every day. I mean, we can't be in a nanny state. We have to live. We have to touch things. We have to go places. You know, the chances of getting something is down to the immune system, what we carry within inside ourselves, because we fight. There's a war. The war of ourselves is going on all the time with viruses that we get and antibodies that are fighting against it within inside ourselves. A lighter story here. A nudist couple who met playing naked table tennis. Oh dear. A nudist couple who met playing table tennis saved a fortune on wedding outfits by not wearing anything when they got married. It was a clothes-free event. So actually anyone attending had to be naked. So all guests had to be naked. They met while playing ping pong. It was, and you know, there they are. Look. There they are celebrating getting married, tying the knot with their bats in strategic positions. I thought it's a lovely story. You know, I mean, naturism is very popular, apparently. I haven't done it. It's not something I've ever done in my life. But, you know, shedding all your clothes and abandoning everything is apparently immense letting go. But if we look back in our history, we never used to wear clothes once anyway. We only wear clothes because it keeps us warm and everything else, but obviously because we always have done. But from centuries ago, and we've been interrupted by our first guest, I think. Hello, is that Patrick?
Hello, Clint. How are you?
Hello, Patrick. How are you? It's fantastic to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for asking me back.
I always love you on the show, Patrick. You're a good friend as well as an amazing laugh. We have a good laugh when we see each other.
We certainly do. We certainly do, Clint.
And how are you? What have you been up to in this look? I know that you've been very busy and everything to rearranging your house, I think, haven't you?
Well, I guess for quite a long time I've neglected my house. Now, being a builder, I guess it's kind of like you leave everything behind. So, but I've kind of been on this spiritual quest for quite a long time, which means lots of traveling, being away from home, and the house got neglected, and so I've kind of, with the lockdown, it's been an opportunity to do a lot of things that I needed to catch up on regarding my home and with basic repairs and decorating, and lots of work.
Yeah, and that, I mean, that must be very satisfying because I know before, you, like many of us, you're out there all over the place doing workshops and doing events and everything else. And you know, obviously when you're doing them, because that's a focus, that's what you do. And I know your background, like myself, is in building. When you're out there, you're thinking, well, I must get round to doing that. You come back and you think, I must get round to doing that. I must get round to doing that. And obviously this is the opportunity, as you said. And in a way, it's sort of shedding a bit of inner karma, isn't it?
It is. It's because it's quite the opposite. And I've kind of enjoyed it. I mean, one of the hiccups has been obviously getting gear and materials and that. But generally speaking, I have quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Even though the tools are a bit rusty, I guess I'm still mourning a little bit.
I'm sure they're not. But obviously, you've got a fantastic painting studio there as well.
Well, I kind of, the funny thing is that I guess over the year, I mean, I started painting in my kitchen many, that's where I set up and I put the easel up and I painted in my kitchen. And it always seemed to be a kind of energy, I guess, you know, for any home, you know, the kitchen is like the heart of any home, really.
It is a hub.
And yeah, it is in a way. And I guess I started painting there, and over the time in that, I've kind of like tried to move into different rooms and upstairs to the office and back rooms and everything. And do you know what? I still paint in my kitchen.
Yeah.
And as for a studio, I mean, obviously over time I've had galleries, I've had studios, but I guess with the internet now and everything, yeah, I don't really have I don't have a studio anymore. My studio now is when I do the shows and the events.
Yeah.
And I still paint in my kitchen. Yeah.
Wow. That's fantastic. Listen to the radio with a glass of wine, I expect.
Yeah. It's kind of, yes, exactly. And the other thing is, because I've just fitted a new kitchen, I have to be a little bit more aware of how fast the brush is moving and the flicks of paint. Yeah. So I have to be a little bit more kind of controlled, if you like. I
mean, you have been painting pictures, that's spirit guides or teachers, whatever, for people when they sit down with you and that, and you've been doing amazing artwork, absolutely immense artwork that, you know, you must be astounded when you've done, even now, when you've done a piece of artwork and you look at it and think, wow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, it does. It's kind of because you're painting a feeling, and you know, feelings have an effect, and you know, whether they come from another person towards us or whether they come from spirit towards us, and you know, as we give our own feelings out towards other people with gestures and love and all that, I guess in a way it kind of comes back in, and you know, I try, whether I'm painting a person or whether I'm painting an animal, I try to capture part of its essence, its energy, and yeah, when it's kind of like I have moments where I kind of walk back into the room or come home after a long day, and I kind of look at it and it hits me, and I think, gosh, it's really, I feel it. I feel what the message is, or I feel, you know, the image of the creative energy and how it's taken and put onto the canvas. So yeah, it's kind of all things actually. And it's, I mean, painting has kind of taught me, it's a lot like life in a way. You know, you can have a good day and you can have a challenging day.
Yeah.
And it's all about how we overcome it and not to kind of give up. Yeah.
No, because obviously, you know, that we're all on a journey of different individualistic style, and with it comes all sorts of different barriers and things to climb over at times and things like that. I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at I've got it here. Yeah, I don't expect you've got me on the thing, but this is what Patrick did for me, which is a guide to myself, which is really interesting picture. Wearing a triangle band on the head. When you sit down with people, Patrick, because obviously you don't know who they are, they're going to turn up, and you sit down, and I know I've sat with you before, obviously, when you did that for me, it's quite remarkable what you get from that person in relation to the image that appears on the canvas, isn't it?
Well, it's kind of like, I guess for myself, you know, I have the image, so we aim to capture that image. But I guess I see the complete thing as a bit like a roadmap.
Yeah.
And whatever appears on that, within that space, or within that face, or the head and shoulders, I'm trying to read it as a form of language, or a form of writing a letter. So even though it's a picture, it's still a little bit like a letter that's been written.
Yeah.
So I tend to read it. Well, and any symbols that appear, well, from the colours to the symbols to the image, it's all trying to portray. So we kind of try to read what that represents for someone within their physical pathway, in experiences or challenges, and because at the end of the day, we don't need to do anything with happiness and joy and bliss. We don't need to. No, you don't need to touch them. But all the other bits that we're aiming to get through. I mean, sometimes we're lost in life, and sometimes we feel stuck, and so all those things are where. And
it happens to all of us at some point. Happens to all of us.
Absolutely,
we're on cycles
it's
constantly.
Part of life. Yeah. It's part of whether. From all forms, it's kind of like, whether it starts at an early age, or whether people have a very, a beautiful life up until, but life is an interesting one. And unfortunately, somewhere along the way, something happens.
It does.
And it's how we deal with it, I guess,
But I suppose some of that comes down to, when we're soul birthed and that we chose to be in the bodies we're in. We chose to be here and be at a very prevalent time, I think, in the change on the earth at the moment. And I always say that we carry a book inside ourselves which is a book of us, but there's nothing written on the page until we do something. And then it materializes, and we might actually have the wrong page because we've gone off in the wrong direction. But, spirit does strange things. Yourself, it's not, it's not a bed of roses when you're out in the forefront in what you do, like what you do in your painting and readings and everything else, and teachings, as it is for me, because you have to go through enormous amount of loss, pain, and torture to be where we are.
Yeah, Clint, it's unfortunately, it kind of seems to be
the norm.
The learning comes through the depth of hardship, or wherever, and it's kind of it's quite interesting, really, because it's in life, because my brothers talk about different things in our past and growing up and the ventures we've been through and the challenges we've been faced with. Yet we end up talking about, do you remember when we got through that situation?
Yeah.
Or, you're inclined to talk about, that was such a hard time in life, but we got through it. Don't know how, but things turned around and things worked out. You reminisce about, about the challenges in a way. Yeah. And so they carry many factors to them. And, and I guess it's like my old boss, my builder boss kind of said to me once, he said, you need two lives. You need a life to learn and then a life to live. Yeah. And it's a bit like that in a way.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I agree. And obviously, I mean, I'm not going to talk very much about coronavirus because I'm bored to death with it, to be honest. But the situation we sit in look, you're a very gifted person, and that gift is a blessing, basically. Gift is probably the wrong word, a blessing. And all of us carry a blessing within inside us, whatever that may be, whether it's writing, painting, oratory, we speak, or we just connect, or we heal, or do whatever. All of us have that ability. Do you know what I mean? And
for sure.
For people out there at the moment in what I would call a frazzled, drained state, I mean, you probably understand that yourself, because the energy sometimes on this planet at the moment is so dense, it's unbelievable, with the fear-driven society that we're in, led by people that are numpties, basically, that just want to keep you in fear and not actually look at yourself. And looking at yourself, I know with your workshops and everything else, and I know what you're going to say, it is about, in this time, it is a time of gathering yourself together and actually delving inside and having a bloody good clear out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, sure, absolutely. I guess one thing with the, you know, I guess the thing is, you know, we live in such our way of life and society is dependent on an element of finances, and
Yeah.
I guess when we're thrown into this time of where, you know, our finances, and for some people are kind of just closed, and a lot of people live on you know, on the breadline.
They do.
You know, they're living.
Yeah.
And I guess in a way it's full of stress at the moment on a lot of things that are unknown, and it's very, very. I mean, it's very hard to be positive when we're dealing with stress and worry and all the things that come. Such a hard one to do in amongst it all. But I guess one of the blessings has been that it has slowed a lot of things down.
Yeah.
And it has given us time to kind of think and connect and to kind of do the things that we maybe have not had time to do. Because, you know, a lot of people, you know, they get up very early in the morning and they go to work. Some people got maybe 2, 3, 4 jobs going.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's even though I know there's a lot of stress coming with it all being cut off, but there is always a positive in amongst all the negatives. And so yeah, but it's kind of like it's just how we deal with it and how we get through it, which again is very hard for some people. Yeah,
it is, because a lot of people actually want to go out and do something rather than look at themselves. This is the problem. And I do feel that some of this, yes, there's a lot of rubbish about what we're in, but I do feel it's also down to earth, nature, spirited energy on this planet saying that, you know, we need to take stock, because it's like almost catching a breath, humanity, in relation to going forward, because we're not going to live a life like we had before. It's that whatever happens, it's going to completely change, and it's part of the cycle of what we're on as a species on this planet as well.
Yeah, very, very much is. I guess in a way, what it all means, like once whatever, is kind of this unknown thing, but definitely change is going to happen in avenues, and it goes back to, you know, there was a person in my life that I used to admire, with my mentor, my teacher, but the ability to how we adapt and how much energy we use up in maybe fighting change. So I guess in a way, it's important to find new ways. It's important to find a new way through or around or out of and into, because everyone's so capable of many things. And we have to be careful that our own mindset doesn't restrict us.
Yeah.
So it's trying to open the mind to an element of change, and to enter into those change, and even to some extent force changes ourselves, because we're in that time of change. And it's kind of, even for me as an artist, I started to paint a certain way, but there reached a point where I to find change, to find something different, and it's the different that does make a change or a difference to our lives.
Yeah.
So it is a time of actually, thinking of something new, if new. I mean, there is this thing about originality, and, you know, as an artist, they kind of say there is nothing original, everything has been painted. But I guess to some extent, I kind of believe that, you know, everything's been painted, but not in the way
not in the way that you do, because individually we bring something else. Your pictures are magic and everything, you know, and your style is very, very different to a lot of other people, and there's many, many different messages within your artwork as well as the artwork you do for people in helping them. Because every time you sit down with someone and paint their guide, their teacher, whatever it is that they have around them, or what they are, have been possibly in a past life or in a future life, you know, and then what you pick up with that picture, because what you're doing is a bit like when I do readings, you're delving into the roots of the person. Do you know what I mean? You're delving into the soul of the person to reinvigorate that person, to give them something back that they can face themselves, whether that's something you say to them or whether that's something you paint them to actually then they put on a wall and look at every day to remind them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. And you kind of like you're kind of painting a vibration or an energy of them, and in some ways I always like to look at it that it's kind of empowering for them. So you're either giving confirmation to maybe ideas or plans, because sometimes people have a suggestion and think, gosh, I don't know if I should do this or do this. So having something that comes up, which is a suggestion of something they're thinking, is an element of empowering them and saying, well, this, you're thinking it's in your reading.
Yeah.
Come on. It's like making decisions, it's kind of, and until it doesn't matter how much we weigh decisions up, we don't really know what a decision means until we actually physically make it and get involved in it. But the thing is with decisions, they're always there to be made. They don't stop. Whether life creates us to make decisions but we have the capability of decision making ourselves.
We do. And attached to that decision is choice. And the biggest problem with people is that they make wrong choices. Then they make wrong decisions. And then they might have to go so far down a road that they have to turn a corner and think, hang on a minute, I've got to go backwards.
I know, and the thing is, I guess for myself, and Clint, in my life, my earpiece is just for in my life, I've made so many I thought was the right. Now, those decisions, actually, because I've had lots of time to think of those decisions, may have been the right decision because life is like a stepping stone.
Yeah.
And to get to another doorway, we have to go through a doorway to get to another one. Yeah. And sometimes it goes through a decision that we think, gosh, that was not one of my best ones. But it's actually preparing you for the next one.
Yeah.
Which will be a good one.
Because if you didn't take those steps, that thing would not be there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's kind of like it's part of the stepping stones of life or the doorways. And, and the thing is, what happens with people is, and this again is part of, a lot of things I teach and work with and feel are part of my own experiences. And, when we make a decision and it goes right, and then we make another one and it goes right, we're very confident in making another decision.
Yeah.
And even if that next decision goes wrong, we're still confident. But if we make a series of decisions and they go wrong, we fear making another decision. But in actual fact, we should still make more decisions because it is the only way forward.
Yeah.
In creating openings or stepping stones, and it's like the roulette wheel.
Yeah.
It's what I say. If you keep throwing stones, you will hit the target.
Yeah. Absolutely, I agree. I completely agree. And you know as well as I do that we've been around a long time working these fields, but we've been at times where I have not had anything. I've lost everything. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I know. Yeah.
And when you lose everything, because people think, well, you are this person, but I'm only this person because I've been down to nothing and had to rebuild, regrow, regroup, where a lot of people would say, oh, I can't be bothered with that, or think, well, this ain't worth it. And we all get to points like that. And to overcome that is I say to people, and it's not, you can't buy it. You can't go to the supermarket and buy what it is you need because it's invisible. It's about belief and faith and understanding of yourself. And to move on in life, when you tell people, they say, how do you do what you do? It's because you believe in it. In the series of events that's happened to me in my life, as I'm sure in yours, you've been in bad places. We'll be in bad places. And as we found, we've had to go through that treacle to find some steps, to find a light switch, to find a door, to then climb a mountain, and then find the other side, it's sunshine, and it's fine. Do you know what I mean? And you regroup and rebuild. There is a case in this reality for people, because we live in this very everything's now scenario, and even down to, people coming to you and me and many people in our field that want to get fixed, where the only way they can get fixed is a bit like, I'm sure people when they come to your workshop and they're doing their own art and everything, or whatever you're doing with them, I'm sure afterwards they think nearly all of them would say, the one thing I've learnt about today is about me.
Absolutely. Well, and the thing is, it's very true. It's kind of like, and as painting's made up of layers, and life, and we're all made up of these layers,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, and they, and life gives us, it gives us they are the teachers, as they say. The challenges are the teachers, and
Yeah.
I guess in a way, we all need a bit of luck, and we all need an element of goodness in those elements, but it is there. It's just that.
But we're not alone. We're not alone, Patrick.
No,
we're not. This is the one thing that is so surprising. We are not alone. We have many people around us, many people that's passed over, and also many people where we come from that are helping us on our journey here. And we can choose to listen to them, or we can choose not to. And 9 times out of 10, they work through your gut instinct. They work through your emotions, basically.
And the thing is, one of the things I've also noticed that it's also about coming outside one's comfort zone.
Yeah.
And because in a way, it's a lay of the land that is not always touched upon. We live within this space of familiarity. And it's quite scary coming out of the comfort zone. It is, but it shows so much more to us.
Yeah.
And it's something that from my own learnings, it's kind of always a case of, even though you think, gosh, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? And do I believe in myself enough? I've got to believe in myself to do this. So, but very much about coming outside the comfort zone. Yeah.
I think a lot of people sit in that right now in relation to what we've been through, because the whole world's been turned upside down.
Yeah, it's a very it's surreal at the moment and everything.
It is like a film, isn't it? It's like you're waking up thinking, I'm actually taking part in a Hollywood blockbuster.
I guess in a way I'm quite fortunate. I mean, I do kind of feel for the people now that are in the large cities and large towns.
Yeah.
And I guess to some extent I have to be very thankful that I live in Cornwall, because it's kind of, I think it's easier. I just think it's easier than I might be wrong, but that's
I agree with you. I absolutely. I mean, I live in a caravan, middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And there aren't many people here. And if you lived in a block of flats in London, or
Gosh,
in the, I mean, it would be very difficult. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So it's kind of very, very, and of course it's still at the moment is, how long is the piece of string?
Yeah.
We don't really know, what is happening, and or what means what at the moment.
I don't think any of them know.
I don't think they do know,
because we all carry my argument. I mean, as soon as this came out, my immediate thought, well, that's load rubbish. It's not real, and that's what I was told, and I believe that I'm right, because I think that this is fear driven to actually close people up, not open them up. Do you know what I mean?
No, sure. No, absolutely.
And you like me, probably what's the thing you really miss? I miss going to events. I miss talking to people. I miss seeing you. I miss seeing all the community. Do you know what I mean? And the people coming, and the people you help. Do you know what I mean? And there's none of that. And we do. I mean, it's probably. I mean, this year is a sort of rain check, really, isn't it? It's not really going to
very much is
launch to next year, really.
Not really. I'm kind of like, I'm very much in the same space for this year, and it's kind of where it's going. So I've kind of just, it's going to bump along this year, whatever it means, and I've allowed that. But it is very much about being productive.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. I mean, I'm a great believer that, an healthy mind comes from a busy mind in a way,
and having a big array of tools at your disposal, which is like, particularly at the moment, it's like, well, I'm not going to do any painting for a few days because I'm going to build my kitchen, because you're a builder, and you know, or I'll go down the road because somebody wants a wall built or something, because it'd be something different. It takes some mind away from things. And when you do that, sometimes you go back and things are different with your artwork again. Do you know what I mean?
That's right. I guess in a way, it's just trying to do things and catch up on things, and where possible, because we have to get through this, whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, we have to keep our mind in something of an healthy. And I do believe in kind of like, I guess in some ways, an healthy mind to me is you know, our bodies looking after it as well as much as possible. And it's not easy for everyone, because, you know, there are different ailments and conditions that people are dealing with without this lockdown as well. So, it's a little bit is a good thing. Little steps, whatever, in any direction, are all good, just to get through. And it is a case of getting through some. I mean, you know, the people, what people have been doing for other people and helping. It kind of shines a light in many different ways from different people and what they're doing and helping there. And in amongst all this, there's been a lot of love shown and a lot of dedication shown, and which has been lovely to see. And
and there's a lot of people out there that are uncovering things and showing things for what they are, which is what you've got to have. You know, I mean, it's not about conspiracies; it's about showing people what things are really. Do you know what I mean?
No, sure. I think we have to be, you know, we have to have an open mind, and we have to kind of like, you know, it's that we're not sheep, so we have to kind of give our mind thoughts towards certain situations and that, and I mean, there's a lot. It's interesting times and what it means, and I guess there's been a lot of people that are saying similar things out there, which kind of makes you think, well, yes, you know, there's definitely things that need to be questioned.
Yeah, there is.
Certain intentions of what is actually going on. Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree, and you know, I at a very early age didn't want to be lied to, and we are, unfortunately, a lot of times. But you know, you need people there going between the bricks and mortar to see if there's any cement there, really. Jason McCousin's listen. He says in 50 years' time, Mastermind, the program Mastermind, and they say, "What's your chosen subject?" 2020. It'd be pass on every question.
Yes, it's kind of I know it's very I guess there's lots of boxes which we don't know whether to tick them or put a cross in them at the moment. And it's a case of to some extent, you know, just being aware, holding a positive direction, and again, it's like all things, you know, I think things do ups and all things. I think things do actually find its way to the surface.
Yeah, and it will. We live in the time of truth. Patrick.
Absolutely.
I mean, I was talking about Prince Andrew earlier on, and Gemma said if you found out your mate was a nonce and you would phone him up and end the friendship and not fly over and stay with him for several days. I mean, he went there for 4 days and stayed with him, telling me he can't be his friend anymore. It's beyond a joke. Matthew John said, Gemma, setting boundaries is very important. Someone who likes to abuse children is not someone you would like to have as a friend. You know, absolutely true.
Absolutely.
They're monsters.
No, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
But there is a lot of good things happening in amongst all this bleak times. You know, and a lot of things that we're not shown as well, which are happening.
Well, it's always the same, I'm afraid. I mean, the thing is, you know, all good deeds are not heard, and there's so much good deeds being done, and there's so much, you know, and the element of truth and you know, the goodness of it gets overlooked in a lot of things. This crazy thing is, it's like, you know, wildfire travels fast, you know, and it's kind of like, so it's something to do with, you know, the elements of negativity. It's such a thing to deal. It's a powerful thing, negativity.
It is.
And it's something that it's very powerful. It travels fast,
It is. I always say there's the bird flies over and drops a seed, and an oak tree takes 100 years to grow, and a seed of negativity goes into us, and it grows quickly straight away.
That's right. Absolutely.
Because we tend to look at the bad, not the good, and we don't look at what we've been through.
No, it's part of media as well. It's kind of like, you know, it's always the negative issues are always promoted, and the good deeds are swept under the carpet. And it's always been like it. But it's just this element of, you know, the elements of a truth and a lie. You know, if they're standing beside each other, gosh, you know, a lie is a very powerful thing, you know, and it's you know, even a truth still has to be proven. Yeah. And a lie is a lie. It's still powerful, you know.
It is.
And I'm afraid within the politics and the nature of all things, but yes, I mean, it's about holding those positives and flying that flag high, and keeping the morals there and amongst it all, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, I'm really looking forward. I'm sure you are as well. Getting out there and meeting people. I'm also looking forward to the pub opening.
Well, it's kind of like I guess in a way, it's been again. Everything has been other than, you know, not talking about kind of supplies and supermarkets and, you know, all the things that we kind of need to get through life, as in getting to the doctor and everything. It's an absolute nightmare at the moment. But besides that, the quietness, and I mean, nature must be having, you know, gosh, nature is just, you know, it's for the animals, and it's just Mother Earth. You know, with the
nature will always sort itself out. The problem is that humanity has played with nature, and that's a problem.
It is. I mean, and everything. You know, it must be the peace and quiet, the lack of traffic, and just the earth just sighing a relief at the moment.
Yeah.
With things being shut down and locked away, and it's kind of like, you know, I kind of seen a little clip. There was a cartoon kind of sketch, and it was about the animals looking through a window, in through the window, and a person thinking, "How do you like being locked in?"
Yeah, you know, absolutely. Around the other way. Yeah, I know. Round the other way completely. I don't believe in locking animals away anywhere. I don't really believe in zoos. I don't believe in anything like that, because I don't think it takes them out of a natural habitat, and it doesn't give them enhancement. Do you know what I mean?
That's right. No, absolutely.
Well, Patrick, you've been amazing. I don't know where half an hour goes. It's amazing.
No, it flies by.
I know it does, doesn't it? It's incredible. And obviously, I don't know if you're doing artwork remotely or anything like that at the moment, or anything like that at all. But obviously, if anyone wants to get a hold of you, or wants to contact you and that, they can get hold of you on Facebook or on your website, I would imagine, wouldn't they?
Yeah, the Facebook is always a biggie, and I mean, obviously, this is my email, which is patrick@patrickgamble.co.uk, and the website, which is patrickgamble.co.uk, and as telephone numbers and everything is on there. And so it's kind of, you know, I'm always still kind of promoting a daily blog and doing what I do, and
your cards are amazing.
Thank you.
Absolutely amazing. I'm going to buy a pack of those cards.
Yeah, well, they kind of like they've served very well, and they seem to be. I kind of, it's a very easy deck. I feel it is, and people seem.
But
to
the pictures are amazing, and they're all your artwork.
Yeah, there's all the artwork. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of but they seem to work. They've never let me down as a reader. I mean, it's the only deck I ever use. People have gifted me other decks, but I in 25 years, I've never used anything different. I mean, they came to me as forms of visions and feelings, and
they're amazing.
And I still work, and I'm still learning from them myself.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still learning. So yeah, absolutely.
Patrick, you've been amazing, mate. And as always, it's lovely to speak to you. And you're in the best part of the world I love, to be honest.
Thank
I
you.
love it down there.
Speaking you.
I love Paul Parrot and all around that way as well. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
we will
fortunate.
hopefully see each other soon, and
Absolutely.
and if not, we'll get you back on here in a couple of months' time, see what you're up to, and that, and it's always thanks very much for supporting the show. Thank you very much for coming on as well, and I'm sure people love listening to you as well. So yeah.
Well, thank you, Clint, and for your viewers, your listeners, have a good evening, and we'll catch up soon.
All right, thanks, Patrick. No worries.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye. Fantastic, Patrick Gamble there. What a lovely guy he is. Absolutely amazing. And we're always run late. You know, we never run on time here. We always run late on the Inview. We've got Helen Curnow up next, which I'm going to ring now. She just phoned, as you probably heard, with the dialing tone of the beep 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 beep. Patrick Campbell, what a lovely man. Really lovely guy. Really lovely guy. Fantastic having him on. I hope she's going to answer the call. She just texts me, so I hope she is. Helen Curnow is a light worker, an all-round immense person.
Hello, this is Helen. I'm sorry, and I'm able to get the phone right now.
And she's not there.
Your name and number. I'll call you back. Thank you.
Okay. She just called me. Let's try her on Facebook. This is live. Do you know what I mean? This is as live as it gets, I can tell you. When you're working with people calling in and all sorts of that. And obviously there's a cut-off point here where it doesn't always necessarily run at the same time. Do you know what I mean? So it crosses over, and we only have to be a few minutes over, and then if they're not watching the show, she's not picking that up. I'm sure she's going to ring back. We'll leave her for a minute and let her take stock. She might be busy doing something. And I'm sure she will ring back. If she doesn't, then we'll give her another bell in a minute. Now, I hope you're enjoying the show out there. And as I said, we've got Helen Curnow, Viv Johnson, and Matthew John up, who is doing lots and lots of typing in the comments. He's saying everything we're taught is a lie. And Jason McCusborough says, does anyone know if all the fires in Australia have been put out? I haven't heard anything for months. Yes, apparently they are. They are all out now. And Matthew John says all timelines are happening at the same time. 5D, 5 dimension is on its way. If you have honor and truth, why would you need to prove anything? It's all on you. And he also says one thing is for sure, Jason, the new railway is probably being built right now. Matthew says, thank Patrick. And yeah, thank you, Patrick, because he's a lovely guy. Really, really nice bloke. We're going to give her one more try. She just called. We're going to try her back and just give another call, see if we can get hold of her. This is Helen Curnow. I've known quite a while. Met her loads and loads of different events. Sell all sorts of bits and pieces. As a great honesty and understanding about herself spiritually. Has been through a lot in her life as well. And she's definitely not answering the call at the moment. Hello?
Hello, this is Helen. I'm sorry.
That's her answer machine. Hello, this is Helen. She will call back in a minute. No doubt. And obviously you've got Viv Johnson after that, as I said, and Matthew John. And then we have a universal man. I know what he is. He could be the Terminator, for all I know. But, yeah. While we're waiting for young Helen, just looking at some of the latest news that we got here. We had a guy was arrested for looking like Sir Lancelot. Firearms police see the funny side after an armed suspect turns out to be a man in fancy dress brandishing a big sword. Lookalike for Jon Snow from the Game of Thrones was by a lake in Cardiff, and witnesses said witness Mike James, 30. I don't know why they put their ages. Witness Mike James, 30, said it was weird. So the guy was brandishing a sword or whatever by a lake, and so armed police were called. There he is. There's the man. There's the man there. Well, bring it down a bit. There's the man there in the middle, brandishing a sword, and there's the armed police officers. So he's doing something. I'm not quite sure what. And as we said already, lots of people are doing loads and loads of things. And I was astounded to hear this story, actually, which is there's 16 people in this coronavirus, 16 people that all work at a care home. I can't remember exactly where that care home is. And they're all carers there. So they all got different shifts and everything. And all 16 of them all come from different different houses and everything, have all decided to camp there for at least a month and a half. So these 16 people have all decided to get together and camp on site. So they don't see their family. They stay there, and they're doing their caring bit for the people in the home. The live-in carers, intensive carers. Dedicated care home workers are sleeping in tents to protect their residents from catching COVID-19. 16 of them in one. That was in Guildford, actually. Surrey. Guildford, Surrey. 16 of them there, living in tents so they don't bring coronavirus in. What else have we got here? This is quite an interesting story. A dinosaur with a star-like skull has been named after David Bowie. I'm not even going to do his accent. Stellaris, or star lizard, was more than 20 foot long and weighed more than 2 tons. Roamed what is now Montana 75 million years ago and belonged to the plant-eating variety of Triceratops. And he has apparently got a bit of a David Bowie look, his skull. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a bit of a David, I can't see it myself, but there's a bit of David Bowie look to his skull. So Ziggy Stardust style. What else we got here? Oh yes, this is another quite interesting story. This is a guy that a railway ace builds track to front door. I might have read this before. Engineer Alan Payne has built a railway to his home 50 foot up a hillside so he and his wife won't have to climb the steps when older. Alan, 55, finished the £15,000 project during lockdown 18 years after he started. He's been doing this 18 years. A winch at the top of the 109-foot track hauls a wagon carrying him and wife Rachel, 50, from the road to their 3-bedroom bungalow in 7 minutes. There it is. There it is, folks. There is his track up there. It's taken him 18 years to do it. Wow. Look at that. Quite remarkable. This story here, Wetherspoons to open in June, apparently. And apparently the latest news is that apparently pubs are going to open in June. But obviously with social distancing as that as well. But Mr. Wetherspoon, Tim, last night gave hope to Britons desperate for a pint by saying he hopes to reopen in June. Tim Martin will be toasted up and down the UK for saying he's already planning how to keep punters safe and socially distanced when the lockdown lifts. The chain was forced to shut all 874 pubs and furlough 45,000 workers. That's an amazing thing. 874 pubs, immense. And he's very much looking forward to getting back to some sort of normality. What else we got here? I think we'll leave that story at the moment. We're going to give one more go on here. See if we can get hold of her. See if we can get hold of the young lady, young Helen. I'm sure she'll be there in a minute. We hope. It's ringing. It's great live radio or TV or whatever you want to call it when you're calling somebody.
Hello, this is Helen.
No, she's not there. Okay. Never mind. What we might do is we might actually see if we can switch a guest here. And I'm going to see if we can get hold of Viv, because Viv was on next after her. And then probably we might get Helen up after that. We're going to give her a go anyway, give her a call and see if we can get hold of Viv. Nothing always goes according to plan, but hey ho, doesn't matter. It's what it is. Let's see if we can get her on. See if we can
Hello?
Hello, is that Viv? Hello, is that Viv?
It is. Can you hear me?
I can. Sorry, I rang a bit earlier, but
That's all right. Is that Clint?
it is. Yes. How are you, Miss Johnson?
I'm fine. And yourself?
Yeah, the reason I'm calling a bit earlier is because Helen, and we just run over a little bit, and Helen isn't answering a call at the moment, so I thought I'd come to you.
No problem
Next
whatsoever.
down the list. So how are you? How are you doing, Viv?
I'm fine. I'm fine, thank you.
It's great to have you as a guest. I know you've called in on a Thursday when I was doing the Thursday night.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to tell a little bit
novice.
about yourself.
Yeah. Well, I feel a little bit of a novice, actually.
No,
but,
I wouldn't say that.
You know,
if you're a novice, so am I.
Looking at all your, I mean, it was great listening to Patrick there. He was absolutely amazing.
Oh, he's a lovely man, isn't he?
Down in Polperro.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
love the place.
Amazing artist.
Yeah.
So talking about myself then, I think it's fair to say that I come from quite a spiritual, perhaps a psychic background.
Yeah.
A lot of my family down in Wales, my great-grandmother, she had psychic abilities, my cousin has, and always felt that way, always tuned in, got caught up in a rat race.
As we do, don't we? Yeah.
As we do, yeah. And I just don't know, I think your vibration was quite low at the time.
Mm.
And I had a profound healing about 12 years ago that set me back on the spiritual road. Yeah.
What sort of healing was that? Was just an ordinary healing,
it was
Reiki?
amazing. It was, it was an angelic Reiki healing.
Yeah.
And I'd gone on a course down to Somerset. I'd had something called trigeminal neuralgia.
Wow.
In brackets, they call it the suicide disease.
Okay.
And it was. Right. It was horrendous.
Wow.
I'd go into hospital by ambulance twice a week, gas and air, morphine. It was really hard, actually, to live, to be quite honest.
That is something immense to overcome, isn't it? Because, you don't know whether you're coming or going at that time. It's because obviously there's an enormous amount of mixture emotions coming out of you. There's a lot of... There's obviously, I mean, it might not just be in this life, but past life stuff you're carrying into this life that needed to go as well.
Definitely. And anyway, nothing was working. There was an operation to have the nerve cut, the trigeminal nerve cut in your face, which would mean that you probably would be paralysed down one side of your face. And I was thinking of it because I thought, I can't live like this.
No.
So I decided, because of my pain, to go and start to do lots of healing courses. And I did one in Somerset with this lady called Margaret Merrison, and she was amazing. During the course, she started to do a healing on me.
Yeah.
She stopped everyone and said, look, you carry on. I'm going to work on Debbie. And she said that she was pulling tentacles out of my head. And they were black, and I'd been through a lot, and she said that I would have a healing crisis.
Wow.
And boy, did I have a healing crisis the next day. I ended up in Taunton Hospital, and it was amazing. The pain was terrible, and I've never had it since.
Wow.
So that was a profound healing. There was something that happened there, and I know there was something that happened there, and it changed me. And I think I've wanted to
put something back
into this. I wanted to get back into this. I've been through, I don't know what life has been doing to me, but over the last 2 to 3 years, I've been through the most unbelievable time.
Yeah.
Everything, just intense trauma. I feel like I've walked into hell.
Yeah.
I've walked in with some of my family, and I know what it looks like. I know what evil is, and now I'm walking out. Always through all this time, though, Clint, there was always a chill light.
Yes. And that is the strength of your own conviction of you.
Yeah.
Right from the day you're born.
Yeah.
As I was saying to Patrick, we come here, we choose to be here. Some of us may have been indecisive about coming here, but we decided to come to be here at this time. But as with most people, everyone that works light and is desperate to help people have gone through immense pain and torture within inside themselves, which is almost the initiation of doing it.
Yes, it is. It is. And, you know, I believe it happened for a reason, as hard as it was.
Yeah.
I am starting to write a book.
Wow, fantastic.
It's in the very early stages at the moment.
And obviously it's a balance as well, because you is it right, if I remember rightly, if you'll put me right, but you know, it's the illusion, because you worked in a corporate area of life, is that right?
Yes.
And
I've worked,
and that's interesting, isn't it? Because when you go into that, you start to lose a bit of your identity. You've got it, but you have to conform. It's not like the military, but you have to conform in a certain way. You can't cause waves or ruptions. Do you know what I mean?
No.
And that's a store up of energy we carry inside ourselves, isn't it? That needs to go.
And work, definitely, and working in that side of things, you know, you can call it a rat race, going out early in the morning, coming back late at night. You know,
there's benefits, because obviously it's good money and all the rest of it, but it's not a good way of life.
No. And I remember running in with we went up to Bond Street one day, my friend and I, and we were earning all this money, loads of money.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, we were, we were earning commission. I sold properties, and she gave me a dare and said, right, run into Gucci and buy that handbag for £350, and I did.
Yeah.
What good that handbag does me now, I can't tell you. It's nothing. It's nothing.
I know.
It's the roof over your head, and it's the food, and it's the love.
Yeah, absolutely. As I was saying, we are back to basics here, because in the situation we've been in, we still are to a degree. We need food. It doesn't matter how much money you've got, as long as you've got food.
No.
As long as you've got a house or somewhere to live.
Yeah.
And you've got food.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all that matters. And my beautiful mum, she passed away back last September, and we were like best friends.
Yeah.
And spiritually as well. And she always believed in what I was doing, you know.
Yeah.
And I think she taught me pure, unconditional love.
Well, that's lovely. That's really lovely.
Yeah. And I think that's what is coming from me now.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel I want to give people. I want to help people. You know, homeless people.
I know. I talk about homeless people on the show all the time. Yeah. Nobody talks about it. You don't see it anywhere.
Yeah. There was a guy sitting outside the supermarket. I'd gone to get some shopping, and he was there, and everyone was looking at him and just passing by. So I went and gave him some of my shopping.
Yeah.
Just things that he could use. Well, his face, he said, you know, everyone's just looking at me like I'm something that's been trodden in on the floor.
Yeah.
They're getting no help. He had nowhere to sleep that night.
No. And no one cares.
Something needs to be done.
If it's a dog chained to a railing, everyone will stop.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a human being there.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of our tribe.
It is one of our tribe, exactly as you say.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you know, it's a disgrace, absolute disgrace. No one talks about them ever.
No. I do think though people are changing. It's a very slight change.
Yeah.
But I can feel it in people.
Well, people waking up. There's a lot of people demonstrating in London yesterday. I know that.
Yes.
Which
I was looking at.
Which was really good.
At some of that. And at the end of the day, you know, we have to have our own views. You know, we're not sheep.
No.
We, you know, just because somebody tells you to do something doesn't mean you have to do it. You need to question. I think we need to start questioning things.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do all the time, because it does my head in, to be honest, with the ineptness
Yeah.
of what these people are. When
Yeah,
most
you
of us
know.
are far more sensible and would have more conclusive ideas on how to do things than what these people are.
Mm.
I mean, this
Yeah,
stupid document they brought out, what we can and can't do, 50 pages.
I know.
It's a load of
I know.
rubbish.
It's all, yeah, it's very confusing. Because last week I wasn't sure whether I should go back to work. Should I
Yeah.
go back to work? Shouldn't I? You know, and I think Matt Lucas put that
Yeah, I know, he did.
thing on
Yeah.
Facebook. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Absolutely hilarious. But no, you know, you've obviously got those people in Hyde Park in London.
Yeah. I'll take
And
my
then
hat
you've
off to
got
him
the
because
people
I'm there
coming
support.
off-
I wasn't there,
Yeah,
but I was there
yeah.
supporting him.
Yeah. Then you've got people on the tube trains
Yeah.
and on the buses in London that are actually shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no different to how it was.
No. So I think, you know, obviously, I do believe that this virus does exist. I must say that.
Well,
I know
it
some
does.
people
I
don't,
can tell
but
it does exist because it's
And it
existed
does.
for a very long
Yeah.
time, for years and years and
Yeah.
years and years and
Yeah,
years.
yeah. My member of my family had it.
Yeah.
So I know how awful it was, and it was one of the worst things ever.
Yeah.
It is not nice. It's
And I'm
not a
sure
nice
many of
thing.
us have had it in one description or other,
Yeah.
whether it was last year or year
Yeah.
before.
I think so. But then how are we supposed to live our lives, you know? And are we going to carry on and on and on being locked up? You know, obviously there is a risk with what we're doing. I don't know. I think the world's gone mad.
I think you're
I don't know
right,
what the
but
answer is.
I do feel that, you know, I know that everyone's trying to make it as safe as possible. I'm not saying they're not. I do feel that their ideas they got is ridiculous. I do feel that I think it's going to come to the end of the day that people, which already are saying, well, we're sort of now out of lockdown, but we're not. Do you know what I mean? Even though they can't go and do some things they used to do, but there's far more people out there. There's far more traffic out there, and there's a lot more people going back to work and doing things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, social distancing is going to be with us forever, basically. I think
it's a way. Yeah.
Which is worrying because in 10 years' time, little babies now grown up will never know what a hug is. Do you know what I mean?
Bless them. I know what a hug is.
Yeah, a simple thing like that.
Yeah, you know, beautiful little children.
And there's double standards. My problem is there's double standards. They just now stopped people coming to the country after 2.5 months of letting in millions of people back to this country. They're now going to quarantine them. What happened to all these other people? Yesterday in Hyde Park, not yet. Yeah, it was yesterday in Hyde Park. You've got hundreds of police officers walking together, standing together, standing in front of people, no gloves, no mask, no anything, and indiscriminately just taking people off. It doesn't make sense.
You've got to look at the remit that the police have.
Well,
you know, I mean, who's guiding them?
Yeah. Well,
you know, I mean, yeah.
I'm sure they're absolutely confused with it, to be honest.
Yeah, as well. We had VE Day celebrations.
All right, yeah.
In my little village, and one of our neighbours organised it. And he organised it, a social distancing. And we were sort of in the road, all of us, and we were all more than 2 meters apart. And one of our neighbours decided to call the police.
Really? For what reason?
Don't know. Somebody called the police, and here the police come up once, then they came back again, and they stopped. But I've got to be honest with you, they're sort of looking at us, and they were laughing. They were fine.
But I don't like the world we're living in, where people snitch on people.
You can't go on like that.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
You know, the Kirchen twitchers.
Like
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's just lovely to see neighbours. It was, you know, it was lovely even at a distance just to see people and talk to people.
Yeah.
It's important for us, you know, as humans. It's important that
it is. We need interaction. We do need interaction. There's no doubt about it. You know.
We do, definitely. Yeah. And I do think that people are more caring, as I say. Well, we have got time for one another now. You know, I just feel that time is almost slowing down. It was really fast before.
It's really interesting because I find it slowed down, and obviously days don't really matter anymore. Not when you're not doing anything
No,
particularly.
they all blend into one another.
And time doesn't matter, but you soon see a day go.
Yeah.
It's soon gone.
Absolutely flies by.
Yeah.
But it's what I'm doing at the moment is I'm trying to take more courses and things. I'm on furlough.
Yeah.
And I'm really enjoying it.
It's good because you're probably like Patrick. You're doing things you hadn't done before. You're looking at yourself and you're thinking, you're looking back on your life, the terrible things you spoke to us about that you've overcome. But you're thinking, well, actually, now's the time I'm going to do something for me.
Yeah. I've got all sorts of courses on the go. They're all spiritual things, all healing things.
Brilliant.
And I just want to hopefully start a little business up.
Yeah.
I've got to think of a name for it. But yes.
And what are you going to do in that? You're going to do what, healing and stuff like that? And
well, I've got a lot of healing certificates that I used to work in a health farm.
Right.
Before this, and that's where I had a lot of interest as well. So I had a lot sort of from there. Things like reflexology, angelic Reiki, even studied unicorn healing.
Yeah,
which was
brilliant.
an amazing one.
Well, they're real, unicorns. Yeah, well, you know that anyway. So
they are. Yeah. They give me a bump now and again.
yeah.
Let me know they're there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's even one called flower psychometry.
Wow.
Which is a really different one. Yeah, and that is readings using flowers.
Wow.
So
that is amazing.
I haven't started that one yet. Yeah, but looking at the people I work with a great team of people. They're lovely, actually. We do have a laugh.
Yeah.
And always I get a phone call now and again from someone, because I've done just readings for family and friends, really.
Yeah.
I don't think I've had the confidence.
I think you were probably doing it before, but you didn't know what you were doing.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And they ring me even now and say, can you give me a reading?
Yeah.
I think they need it. I think people need that at the moment. They need some
guidance.
They
do. I must admit. I mean, I found it's quite busy actually with readings at the moment, because people are.
Of course, you're doing them, aren't you?
Yeah. People. I've been doing it for years, but people have. That's on psychic lines as well as well, not necessarily in person, but on Skype or whatever. And people, particularly at this moment in time, and it died a little bit, then it's all resurged because people want to know. People have gone through. It's a bit like it's a bit like making a nice cake. All the ingredients are there, but we're not sure which ones to use at times. And it's a bit like people, and it's just trying to get the ingredients merged right for them to then be what they're meant to be. And that's really important, because otherwise, what's the alternative? Fear porn in your face. Do you know what I mean? Be in fear, be in fear, be in fear. It's complete madness. And I watch only purely not. I find it quite comical, the news, really, realistically. But I mean, I watch it just see what rubbish they're coming out with, and unfortunately they do. I mean, walls full of stuff that constantly show these people for what they are. Do you know what I mean? As millions of others do well. There's a lot of people out there that's woken up to a realization that actually we are being lied to on a grand scale, and that there are other things much, much deeper and darker intentions than just the coronavirus, I can tell you.
Yeah. I don't know, there's something. My husband and I were talking this evening. Something.
I spoke to your husband as well, didn't I? One Thursday as well.
You did. You spoke to Eddie. Yeah. He had a chat with you.
Yeah.
And he loves listening to you as well. And it is thinking out of the box.
It is.
Because you can't. I can't help it. I have to know more. I have to question things.
You have to. And some people say, well, why bother and all sorts, but. If you didn't bother, we wouldn't have half the information we got in our world now from people that actually said that we need to look at this.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, we do. We have to be aware. I think it's taking away the fear.
Yeah.
I think it's raising our vibration.
It is. And also, when you're living with somebody, like with Eddie,
yeah,
you know, obviously a lot of the time you don't see each other because you're working or doing whatever and busy.
No.
And then you spend all this time together. I mean,
with him, yes.
That takes an adjustment as well, doesn't it?
It does, you know, and at the end of the day, it's. I think he's been very depressed.
Yeah.
He's been very ill, actually, and I think this has helped him, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've been with him and we're able to, you know, talk to one another, sometimes about things that we've never had time to talk to one another before.
Yeah.
You know, he's even bleached my hair for me, bless him.
Wow.
And I've lost half my hair one side of my head.
Wow.
So, you know, we're saving money. We're saving money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, but it's been a good sort of healing time.
But a lot of people are not looking at it like that, are they? A lot of people are agitated, aggressive, angry, fed up, depressed, nothing to do. I can't imagine not having anything to do because my days are filled up every day.
Oh, it's just amazing, you know. But then it is again. I'm coming back, and I do believe in this. It is about trying to raise these vibrations.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people at the moment operating in lower vibration.
Yeah.
It's going to be very, very hard because obviously to them, they are losing their lifestyles, their holidays, their big cars, you know. And as I say, at the end of the day, it comes back to the basics.
It does.
And what we need to live with. And it's hard for some people to let go of those things. And it is a letting go.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's quite weird what they're opening and not opening because, you know, they're opening Burger King, McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken, which is all, to my mind, a load of old rubbish, to be honest. But,
absolute.
You know, a lot of people like it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I went to the garden centre today. First time, really, you know, that one's been open near us. And it was quite nice to go to it. You know, obviously queuing up, but it really nice. There was lots of people around, but they were obviously at a distance.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty therapeutic.
Jason McCusbrough says it's like a placebo where sent the virus, which in effect for the most part is harmless. However, most people have already had it to a certain degree and recovered. Only vulnerable have really suffered.
Yeah.
Which in a way is true, but that would be normal circumstance on an, you know, I know that this is a bit more virulent than an ordinary flu, but
it is,
in relation to last year before that, all the times we have 240 to 650,000 people seasonally die of flu around the world. You know, it is something that we have to get our head around, that it is about immune systems. It is about how we look after ourselves. It is about how we conduct ourselves. It is about our attitude, our frame of mind, our behavior, if you like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. The immune system is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
You know, and at the end of the day, if that is depleted, then it's anything, isn't it? You know, this is a nasty strain.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But if you've got outlying issues physically with yourself, it can be a component to that, can't it?
Oh, it can be. And you know, it comes back to our diets.
Yeah.
I just said a minute ago, Burger King. You know, why are people going mad to go back and get, you know, absolute rubbish?
Yeah.
You know, it is about eating the correct foods, healthy foods. You know, we've been working on our immune systems, you know. We've been taking stuff like beta-glucans, very high doses of vitamin C, Manuka honey. No, I hadn't done that
Manuka
for years.
honey is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it absolutely costs a bomb.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but you know, at the end of the day, you've got to try and do these things, I think. But I do look at this as a healing time.
Yeah.
You know, if you look and you listen at nature at the moment.
Well, I think that's the key, isn't it?
saw,
Listening to nature, because I think a lot of this is
Yeah.
about nature.
I
Do you know
think
what I mean?
is. It's like almost, yeah, it's almost like the planet is fighting back now.
Yeah.
It sounds awful, but I just don't want it to go back the way it was.
No, I understand. I
You know?
understand exactly what you mean, but I don't think it will, because I don't think it's going to be allowed to.
Yeah, I like it. I think we're going towards a cashless society, definitely. And you said earlier on, you know, that, and we are heading for the biggest crash we've ever had.
Oh God, it's a depression upon the depression, wasn't it?
It's going
and
to
the
be.
after effects of this, and this is what's not talked about at the moment. Nobody's really talking about the mental, social damage on people right now, locking them up. You know, we watch animals in a zoo, right? And after a while, the animals really get very agitated, depressed, and low, and they start pacing. Do you know what I mean? Their quarantine area, if you like. And in a way, even though we can go out, but we can't go out. But you know what I mean. You can go to work, but only if you can get to work, and you can't use public transport. And you know, it's just ridiculously rubbish message, basically. And you know, I do feel that the social damage on humanity is going to be absolutely enormous.
It is.
The suicide rates go up constantly. They're on about 400,000 this year so far. You know, it's not just about the coronavirus, and that again putting things in perspective, because you know, you've roughly got about 25 to 30,000 people a day die of starvation in the world.
That's what I was going to say. What's going to happen? You know, I am worried about, you know, if we do get a second wave as well, we don't know.
Well, it depends how this goes. This prefabricated bunch of lunatics that are in charge, they know that they can control humanity. So there is one way of looking at it, that potentially we're all starting to come out of this bit by bit, and we'll probably be out of it by the end of June. And then lo and what happens in October, we all got to go back in lockdown because there's this massive second wave.
Yeah, but then we'll have the issue of, you know, food shortages.
Yeah.
We haven't got the pickers at the moment.
No.
You know, people, you know, and there's going to be an effect. And I think I heard that already, you know, things are a bit low. So, yeah, we'll all
they've given assurances that we're not going to run out of food, but you know, I mean, to be honest, I don't know about you, but you go in a supermarket and it's just mind-bending, to be honest, because there is just so much choice. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, I used to go to a supermarket and you'd have 2 or 3 packets of tea. Now you've got like 30.
Yeah, and we've even got toilet rolls.
So I know.
What was that all about?
I know.
What was that all about? Yeah.
Well, that complete and utter rubbish, isn't it? You know, you can buy toilet rolls now, and you can buy hand sanitizer, but you will find a hard job finding flour because everyone's baking.
Yes, exactly. Which I think is absolutely wonderful.
It is.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah. But I just like to say that I do feel that we've got to allow our minds to develop at the moment. I think we can move forward to higher vibrations. And I do believe, and I think if we can move forward like that, I think we are going to be able to see a lot more as well.
Well, I think we will, because seeing is not just about seeing with our eyes; it's what we sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you know as well as I do that even I've been in your world, and I know what corporate was like. I mean, it's illusion; it's not real, is it? It's, you know, sometimes you come away thinking, "What the hell am I doing?"
Yeah.
I spend more time in meetings, not actually doing anything, than doing something. You know, where's the productivity in that? And they all say, what wonderful job you're doing. And they all must be blind. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know it's a world you want to come out of because you want to get into your healing. You've been dusting off all your stuff. I think, remember last time you were saying that.
It's like a path that you have to follow.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's not an easy path, you know, but it's a path where it is there, because when the bow wave opens, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to need a lot of help from this.
Yes.
A lot of help.
And I think that, you know, I call us light workers, and I think we're going to be there when people need us. And I do believe that life does sometimes make things so difficult when you're not on the right path.
Yep.
It can make things so difficult for you to get you onto the right path.
I mean, if you look at your life and the terrible troubles and things you've had, much of it is initiation to who you are now. Because, as we said before, if you hadn't gone through that, you wouldn't be who you are now.
No.
If I hadn't gone through the things I've been through, I wouldn't be who I am now. You know what I mean?
No.
And
no,
you know,
makes the person.
Yes. And you know, when you were first diagnosed with what you had, I mean, you probably didn't realise what it was or what was wrong with you.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No. You know, and all I know is that something, somewhere, healed me.
Yeah.
Whether it's an angel, I'd like to think that.
Yeah.
You know, I do feel it was. And that was absolutely amazing. And I'd like to do the same for other people if I can.
Well, again, you have a blessing that needs to go out there to the people. I mean, obviously, your time's limited on the job you're doing, because that this will open. Do you know what I mean? Fully.
It does, because
because you have to look at what's worthwhile in life. What's worthwhile? Being a slave to these people where ridiculously they're not doing the right things most of the time, or actually doing something that's real, that's you.
Yeah. And it's also, I think, I don't know, I feel at home when I'm in Somerset, Cornwall, Wales.
Yeah.
Those places.
I don't even know. Where are you at the moment?
For some reason. So I'm in Hertfordshire.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. I didn't know where you were.
Yeah. So I'm Hertfordshire.
Yeah.
But I was born in West Wales.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. It's the energy of these places.
Yeah, Somerset, Cornwall, all around there. Oh, I'm down in Somerset. It's lovely.
All around that way.
Yeah.
It is. It's beautiful. You know, I love Glastonbury.
Yeah. It can be very dark as well, light, but yeah.
You've said that before, haven't you? Because you were in Moon Mirrors.
I was, yes. I had a shot there.
Other people have said that to me. Yeah.
Yes.
Other people have said sometimes the energy there is very hard.
Yeah. Don't be there at night when there's full moon.
Oh no.
Turns people a bit cranky.
Does it?
But you know, it always reminds me of like one of those galactic bars on Star Wars, where loads of different species and beings all meet in one place, which is Glastonbury, and all walks of life, basically.
Yeah. First time I went, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it. You know, you've got people walking around in bare feet. You've got Hare Krishna. You've got all sorts.
Yeah, you've got every religion there.
Yeah.
And you've got very dark, very dark, very, very dark spirited people and very, very light people.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's the only place in the whole world that has shops on the high street. They're all independent, that are light or dark.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And there are some...
It's the best bookshops in the world are in Glastonbury.
Oh, it's fabulous, isn't it?
Yeah, Speaking Tree and...
Speaking Tree. I love the Speaking Tree. It's absolutely amazing. But
amazing bookshop.
You know, we've enjoyed ourselves there.
Well, it's obviously a place you're going to reside, isn't it? It's obviously a place you're going to go to at a chosen time.
Yeah, I think so. You know, whether it's just outside, we'll have to see.
Yeah, I wouldn't live in it.
No,
I did live in it. It's mad.
You did live in it.
Yeah, mad.
Yeah. No, I I remember you shopped there. It was good.
Yes, yeah, my God, yeah, it's a few years ago now, but yes, it's a shame it's not there. But things happen, and as with everything in life, when you lose everything, I was saying to Patrick, when you lose everything and you think that's it, you have to hold on to. You might physically drop down into places with yourself because you wanted something to work and it didn't, and lots of other things were going on in my life at the same time, and there's a snowball effect. But you hold on to something inside, and after 6 months, 8 months, or whatever, you then come out, if you like. I mean, it always reminds me when I was 17, going through a nervous breakdown and panic attacks. I couldn't go out, and I was nothing like I am now when I was before 17. And then I came back this person.
Yeah, and something leads you to where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
I think through all similar times to you, actually, we're going through.
Yeah.
But, something somewhere just makes you hang on.
Yes, I understand that.
Makes you believe that, that there is something. You just have to keep going. It's just, when you're walking through hell, keep going.
Yeah. Yes, you got to, because really the flames don't burn you. The flames don't burn you.
No, they don't.
Interestingly,
and there's a light ahead.
Jan Cardi, who's watching, listening. Hello, Jan. Good evening, and thanks for your comment. She says, yes, very dark place I found when I last visited Glastonbury a couple of years ago. It was different to when I visited years before. And she said, I can't wait to return to Devon or Cornwall to live.
Wow. No, Cornwall's beautiful. Say where Patrick was, down in Polperro, was an amazing place.
Oh, I love Polperro.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing
place.
place.
Studio there. It's lovely.
Yeah. He's not there now, unfortunately.
Really?
But
no, he's not, is he?
Yeah.
No, but some beautiful artwork there.
Yeah. It's very difficult in places like that because obviously you've got a limited footfall of people because half the year there's no one there.
You have. Yeah, that's
He's
it.
Packed,
all these
packed through the summer, but
yes. But still, I think it would be a lovely place to live.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, no doubt about that.
You have your quiet times as well, and
I mean, I love the program Doc Martin.
That's my favourite.
It's my favourite program. That is Doc Martin.
Same here.
I've been there. It's a lovely place, and
have you been Port Isaac?
Yeah, absolutely amazing program. And I watch it. A program is really, really quite clever in ways, but the scenery is amazing. Yeah. It's such a warming program.
Yeah. It is. No, we've been watching it. It's much better than a lot of the stuff on there.
Oh God, yeah.
Get the soaps.
Yeah, I don't watch any of that. I do religiously watch Doc Martin, and I watch it over and over again. You can over and over again because it's really good.
Yeah, we've been doing that. We've been thoroughly enjoying it, and I think actors and actresses in it are absolutely brilliant.
They are, yeah, and Martin Clunes is a brilliant actor, and he plays such a good role.
Yeah, he's obviously playing somebody who's got Asperger's syndrome, I think. Something like that.
Yeah.
Does it so well.
That's very interesting you say that. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Does it so well, But yeah, wouldn't mind going there. Wouldn't mind living somewhere like that. But yeah, hear what you're saying about Glastonbury. I'm not really seeing that dark side of it. I've got to be honest with you.
Well, that's good.
Perhaps
maybe you won't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not something you will see.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting place.
To the places of light.
It is an interesting place, and pretty much everyone who's spiritual will wander through Glastonbury at some point or another.
Yeah.
And yeah. Well, I do hope Eddie feels better, and
thank you. He's doing a lot better now.
That's good. And I do hope also, your quest you're on. I hope that you come to the point you need to go to with it, which I feel you will.
Thank you.
And I do feel you'll move and everything as well at some point. It's been absolutely fantastic having you on. I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. It's just like sitting down having a glass of wine.
Yeah, I'm honoured. Thank you, Clint. Thank you so much.
No, you've been great, and we'd get you on in a month or so's time. See how you're doing.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
And
thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for listening as well. So that's really important.
Lovely. Been
And
very
if anyone
interested
wants
in
to
your
talk
shows.
to you or connect to you, they can on Facebook, yeah?
I'm on Facebook. Yeah, I'm on Facebook at the moment. Yeah, it's under Viv Johnson. I'm Debbie and Viv. So I'm on as Viv Johnson.
Yeah.
That's my grandmother's name. So I've taken that on Facebook, Viv Johnson. But I'm Debbie, really.
Yeah. And if people don't know where she is or whatever, just come to me and I'll put you in the direction.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Lovely. Yeah. It's been fantastic.
All right. It's been really good. And it's fantastic to speak to you, Viv. And, you know, up evolution. That's what we're doing.
Definitely.
All right.
You take care, Clint.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
What a lovely lady, Viv Johnson, she is. She came on the show. She came on the show one Thursday night a few weeks ago, and went off about a lot of different things, her views. And what a lovely lady she is. And I thought, what a great guest she'd be. And, you know, there's somebody that's very open, very honest. You know, it's very, you know, this is the people that we are inside. You know, Viv's standing there or sitting down or whatever she's doing, reliving terrible parts of her life, but able to do that by actually letting go of it. You know, these are really important factors within inside ourselves, because, you know, we are in initiation phases on this planet. And I do know that many of us, when we were shown, oh, do you want to go back to Earth? We all thought, don't know about that one. Been there too many times, really. But then obviously they showed the bigger picture of what was going to happen here, and thought, yeah, we're going to be needed. And, you know, even though when we're soul birthed into the bodies we are and everything, and we don't even know what we are, we don't know abilities, lots of strange things happen to us. And we grow up and we go through all sorts of different experiences, good, bad, and indifferent. Then we open the door to ourselves. We start really viewing ourselves for what we are. And we suddenly start to have a realization that actually the world is different to what you think it is. And we start to draw on the energetic value of what we have inside ourselves that is historically inbuilt in us. Because as mad as it sounds, we've all been here and done this before. So we're just really reliving something we've done before. And, you know, as mad as that sounds, but that's what we're here doing. So, you know, I'm not going to ring Helen now, because obviously we've gone well past the slot, but I will get hold of Helen, and we will get her on. My apologies to Helen that I couldn't answer the call because I was still on the Patrick. Lovely Patrick, lovely Helen. We have got Matthew John up next. Now, I know he went out for a walk with his dog, so hopefully he's going to be back at any point. Dina Seeley, hello. And as I say that, my phone is starting to ring. What about that? It must be this man, young Matthew. Let's see if we can get him on the phone. This is all very live, as you can see. Hopefully he'll answer and pick up. He might still be walking his dog, but maybe not. Let's see if he's on the phone. Hello, Matthew.
Hello.
How are you, Matthew?
I'm all good. How are you?
Very well, yes. It's you know, unfortunately we're a guest down tonight, but we've all moved things around and we've gone overtime as normal and everything else. But, you know, it doesn't matter. It's all power to the cause. How are you doing, Matthew? Now, if anyone don't know who Matthew is out there, Matthew John's a freedom thinker. He's a person that stands up for people's rights. He's a spiritual identity person. Fascinating person. How are you doing? You weren't in London yesterday by any chance demonstrating, were you?
No, I wasn't, mate. And
no, I wasn't either. But
there was a lot of truthers in London yesterday, and unfortunately for them, nothing will ever be portrayed in the real light.
No, I know.
So, unfortunately for the most of people, I mean, most of the comments I saw was like, you know, oh, look, these idiots, and, you know, rah, rah, rah. And it's just never right, because it's not actually what's going on.
No, it's not. I totally agree. I mean, there was RT News was there, Russian news.
Yeah.
They were broadcasting, and then they were shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
I watched their feed while Jeremy Corbyn's brother Piers was talking and got arrested.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't know what to say about it, really.
Well, I've got a question for you. What sort of world do we live in now where, obviously the police really don't know what they're meant to be doing, to be honest, because 1 minute they're doing this, 1 minute they're not doing that. The government say that, you can't do this, you can't do that. And then they say, actually, you can do this, you can do that, and you won't get fines, you won't get this, which it's all been documented. And then you get all these police turn up that I thought were quite bullish, quite thuggish, and walking around as they were. There was loads of them, obviously. There was lots of people there, probably a few thousand, certainly in Hyde Park, and standing around listening to people, talking to people. What I can't believe is the fact that they just randomly went to people and they spoke to them and said, you must go home now. Now, there's thousands of people there, and they randomly just go up to individuals to ask them to leave. Now, bearing in mind, I'm going to let you speak in a minute. Bearing in mind that these police officers, who are all standing together anyway, or are standing in front of your face, are not wearing gloves, not wearing any protection, not wearing any masks, supposedly, which we didn't need to wear originally, but now we do apparently, but they're not sure. I mean, what's going on?
Right. Well, where
what is going on?
It's a good question. Where do we start? I mean, I think the thing is, you have to realise that. Well, for those of you that know me and have listened to me talk a lot, I do tend to get in a bit of a rant. But the police are not there for you anymore.
No, they're not.
They haven't been there for you for quite some time.
No.
And there's a real good reason for that. Because basically everything is in commerce, and everything has to have a corporation attached to it to trade in commerce.
Yeah.
So, a police officer used to take an oath to the Queen, an oath to the public, to uphold the common law of the land. And, they should only ever get involved as a constable. Hear the word constable. Yeah, should only get involved if they breach the peace, or they've committed a really serious crime, like killed somebody, or Yeah,
so technically, all those that are in Hyde Park, randomly arresting people, are actually breaking the law themselves.
Well, let's go through this, shall we? Right. So, just let me finish on the police for a
Sorry.
second.
Yeah.
So basically, they used to take an oath in public office as a role of constable. They should know the law. They should know what is commerce. They should know what is, they should know what they're doing, and they don't. All they know is company legislation, which would be an act or statute. And the reason I say it's a company, because the United Kingdom is a corporation. It's a fact. Whether you wish to believe me or not, it is true, and I can show the evidence. But you need to do your own due diligence. Anyway.
Well, they're actually run by a pharmaceutical company, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, Devon and Cornwall Police are ultimately owned by IBM Computers. So,
you can't write it, can you?
No. So that puts it into perspective. You're not dealing with a police officer. A constable anymore. You are dealing with a corporate officer who will never be caught lying, because to be an officer, you can't lie.
No.
Yeah? In the law. You have to be just right and proper, yeah? You have to say what you mean and all of that. But basically what this police officer has turned into is a bully boy. And actually, ever wondered why they call it a racket? The police are there to enforce it. The council are there to rob you of it. And the government are there to, make up the shit. So it's just a case of, where do you start with all these lies and deceit,
The thing is, you know as well as I do, that in Parliament, in the police, and we know Masonic lodges in London, you have got the high hoods, the guys that run gangs in London, sitting in the same chambers in a Masonic lodge with the high commissioners of the police and everything else, all in hand. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. They're all Masons. They're all Masons. Maybe not the constables anymore, or the so-called constables, the officers, but the sergeants and above will definitely be a Mason.
Yeah.
You have to be in the club. You are in the club and connected, and that's the way it is. It's all the way it's always been.
And we're all jolly good people, and we carry our little briefcases around with our little apron in and everything else, and bastardize Egyptian history, basically.
Yeah. So basically, because the police are operating at a commercial level, every time they come and interact with you, they are looking for commercial intercourse. They are looking to contract with you.
That sounds almost sexual.
well, actually, it's funny you should say that. Commerce is sexual. To have commerce is to have intercourse.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why it's all shipping, yeah? The dock, the berth, the bank, the flow, the current, the river.
Yeah,
all of it. It's all there. Yeah, intercourse. Yeah, oh, man. So, yeah, they're looking for contract. And because we don't know, we've never been taught any law from an early age.
Well, they don't teach it in school, do they? Because they don't want you to know.
Yeah, okay. They also don't teach any economics or how money is made or created.
No.
So you just instantly on the back foot. And the funny thing about protesting is yes, you are standing up for your rights and what you believe in, and it's great, yeah? Some compassion and love for humanity, it's amazing. But what you need to understand is what the language says. So protest, look at the word pro. Pro is for. Yeah. You're for it, yeah? To test. Well, you're for testing. So don't go protesting because you're going to be tested. It's as simple as that. And I know it sounds bad and wrong and all of that goes against everything in your fibre. But there's a really lovely saying, and it's very, very cliche, but the pen is mightier than the sword.
Yeah.
Has been for a very long time, and there's a big reason for that. Because you have to have the knowledge to understand who you are in this system, in this realm. And if you don't have that knowledge, because it hasn't been given to you, you really need to look to the people that have studied the law and are trying to tell you in an honourable way. It's really hard because you shouldn't have the right to tell anyone what to believe. That is on them. You have to come to your own conclusion.
I mean, obviously, if there's laws that are broken, robbery, rape, murder, thing, obviously, that. But I've seen this. I mean, it's gone on a long time, but it hasn't been in the forefront really. I mean, I was at the poll tax, the first ones in London, and the hundreds of riot bands that were down Northampton Avenue and loads of other streets, where at 5 o'clock everything was really, really going really well, and then Margaret Thatcher said, "No, this is going too well. We're going to send the people in," and they did. At 5 o'clock, they all swamped anyone and everyone being used, basically. Jason McCusbro says, well, beat me over the head with a turnip. I thought Cornwall was owned by gangsters. That's funny. That's funny.
I mean, every shop, aren't they, against us? Well, maybe not at the moment.
So are they right to be protesting, or is that not right to protest?
See, in a world where you should, when you know that by yourself you can't inflict that much change on the world, because but you can start a ripple. You can start a wave.
Yeah.
And the thing is, planting seeds, it's there for the people that need to see it. The people that don't need to see it will ridicule it and fight to protect the system, because that's all they know and that's what they've been taught.
Which is to a degree what is happening in the people that awaken, that know what's going on, and the people that bury their head in the sand and listen to the news.
And that even goes for the people in the spiritual community, and I'm ever so sorry to say that. But
no, I understand what you're saying.
There's a lot in the spiritual community, A, with a really massive ego, or B, cannot handle the truth.
Yeah.
And that is why, yes, it may seem negative to you, but that's because you're on a different level of perception. Once your level becomes higher and you have a higher awareness, then you can handle that negativity because you know how to balance it out. If you can't talk about it, you know, you really need to grow up.
Well, yeah, the way I'd say,
there's lovely people out there. It's just a case of I'm fed up with it.
I'd agree with you because, you know, I've been doing this a long time, 40 odd years. I've been in the spirit world, and you know,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
No, you're not offending me at all. And the fact is that ego is absolutely rife within the spiritual community. With a lot of people think that they are so brilliant, so great, and all sorts of that. And you know, it's not about that. You know, it's not about this show is all my show. It's not my show at all. I facilitate it. No. So, you know, I'm not, oh, it's Clint Denny, it's Clint Denny, it's Clint, you know, it's not, it's nothing like that.
No, of course.
You know, but there are people out there that are, unfortunately, people that are living and doing something that they feel that is right, but they're doing it with perhaps a wrong intention. That's a good way of putting it. And they don't realize what they're doing. This is the thing, because when you get to a point where you don't have to actually think about any of it, because you just do it. Do you know what I mean? Where it's just commonplace. You just do things. I don't wake up thinking, what am I going to do today? And I just wake up and do things. Do you know what I mean? And
go with the flow,
yeah, which is what you've got to do. That is the purity of energy, is going with the flow. And there is a lot of people, and certainly when you get into the what I call the kindred spirit house community, you're in a world there of people that are living in plastic bubbles that everyone that looks up to as subservience, because, you know, these are remarkable heroes. When in actual fact, where are half these people right now? You ain't seen them. You didn't got nothing from them. They're not doing anything. Do you know what I mean? And then you get people like Doreen Virtue, who for years and years and years, with her angels and everything else and her card decks, all of a sudden says, well, that's all like rubbish. That's not me at all. I'm actually now a Christian. And you know, I people can choose what they want to do, but what you can't choose to do is play with people's vulnerability. And what we're looking at here is vulnerability with people. You know, when I do readings with people, I treat people with complete respect, and my life does not come into that reading, which unlike a lot of people unfortunately do. And it is very much about that person tuning into pure lineage. Now, I'm not saying everyone doesn't do that, because a lot of people do, but there's a lot of people that don't. And you are doing more damage to that person than actually than helping them. Do you know what I mean? It's very, very difficult. It's very difficult because basically the spiritual community has been infected. That's a good way of putting it.
Well, it has, by the New Age movement.
Which is bollocks, to be honest. New Age is bollocks.
Yeah, of course it is.
Absolute rubbish.
It was there to create the guru. It was there to create the follower. It was there to create diversion.
Yeah.
Just like they do with everything else. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I would just like to now comment on something that I have a little bit of a vision about. And it's not a case of me thinking that I have like a massive ego or an axe to grind or any sort of agenda at all. But the way I see us going forward is the only way you can affect change is by setting an example.
Yeah.
You cannot convince or make someone believe something that is not on you, that is on them. So I'm afraid the time for sowings, the time for waking people up is actually over for us Lightworkers. Us true Lightworkers who are actually not afraid to speak of the darkness. Yeah. So the only way I see us going forward, and it's already started to happen in certain areas, is start a community. Start a community of your fellow, just your friends and your family, whatever. But start a community. Start a community and start thinking about living as a clan, as together.
Yeah.
Togetherness. Forget all the other people that are in the town that think you're absolutely batshit crazy or whatever. Yeah. Forget that. Create a community in your local area. Put your energy together. Go and buy some land and actually live in a fucking community, because that's what really needs to happen to affect change in this world. We need to show them how to live. And
Well,
that
you
is
look at a
exactly-
place, you've probably heard of this place in Italy called Damhar.
Okay. There is many.
There is.
There's loads in Portugal. There's
Yeah.
loads in Spain as well. Yeah, dotted around.
And
Sorry.
you know, I do tend to agree with you, because the problem is within the world we live in, it's a very what we've had. If you look at the particularly this country, we've had 3.5 years of Brexit,
Yeah.
which split the country in two. We had a general election which split the country in two. We had a little respite where it rained, miserable, bloody awful weather for 3 months. Then we had COVID virus. And
then the sun came out.
And then the sun came out when we all got locked down. Well, you know, I mean, I'm sorry, but it's all part of a big story, really. And, you know, the country is still divided. And even on, look, you were never going to change some people. They will have the opinion that everything that Boris Johnson comes out of his mouth is true.
Mhm.
And everything they're doing, what a wonderful job. And everything. I mean, you know, I personally feel he should be put in the Hague for war crimes, basically.
All of them.
All of them against
All of
humanity.
All of them. They're all fucking complete compulsive liars.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and they don't care because they're loaded. They're rich. They're rich beyond belief and getting richer by the minute.
But they're not. They're actually poor.
They are poor. Poor in
Because
spirit.
they have no moral fibre. They have no character within. They are demons. They are fucking the darkest.
Leaping.
I'm afraid a lot of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
There is no soul in there.
No.
Yeah. They're empty. Well, we can speculate on lots of different things that they are. But anyway, one thing I would like to say is, in history, Clint, well, it's a bit of a question. In history, who gets to write his story?
Who gets to write his story in history?
Yeah.
Well, you mean individually?
I mean, as a collective. Who gets to write his? I say his story because that's what you do when you break the word up phonetically. His story, not history.
Yeah, his story. Yeah. I mean,
who gets to write history?
Yeah. I mean, I do feel that what we got, because, you know, in 100 years' time, people can say, where were you if you're still alive? Or 80 years' time.
Where were you in 2020?
Where were you in 2020 when you're in lockdown? What happened to you? What was it like? And, you know, and you know, if you're alive, you say, well, it's all a lie. Because it was. Do you know what I mean? In my eyes,
it was the start of the Great Awakening. That's what it was.
Yeah, start of the Great Awakening, start of change. You see, what people don't realise, and this is where New Age, I fall out with New Age straight away. You know, there's nothing wrong with hugging trees. There's nothing wrong with, you know, I know what you're saying. When people say to me, well, you shouldn't be talking about negative things. Well, look, why can't I talk about things that people do not talk about? Why can't I bring up the fact that, can I ask these questions to government why they're not doing bang, 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 bang? You know, because those things are important to know. I need to know them, and so do you, to have a gauge and understanding so you can have a fair understanding of what's going on. But, you know, within the spiritual community, there is a great number of people that will not accept that side. They will not accept that side at all. They will not accept somebody coming out. You can't be spiritual if you're talking about that stuff. I'm not a scaremonger. I'm a realist person. I'm a real realist, basically. Anyone knows me, I am what it says on the tin. I'm no different on here than if you met me. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly that. There's no mask here.
No. And I want to give people opportunity. That's why I put loads of stuff on my wall. Loads and loads of stuff that I want people to look at. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, sometimes they comment, sometimes they don't. But, you know, I want to give people the options, because if somebody isn't putting it on there, you can't see it. Now, I know, if Jason was here, he'd say, well, people are only writing these things anyway, which he's right to a degree. So they're only writing their own dialogue on it. And who's to say they're right, who's to say they're wrong? But the fact is, you have to walk a path in this life where if you aren't happy about something and you feel inside yourself that it's wrong, then you have to come out and talk about it. But the reason I'm doing this Inview is because I want people that aren't on mainstream TV, that aren't on the radio, that hardly ever get a look in reality of having their say, their piece, their stake, if you like. And to talk about things that maybe are a bit difficult at times. Do you know what I mean? But you know, we've got to be real here. We can't walk around with fairy jackets on, dancing in woods, saying everything's wonderful and it's all peace, man, love. Because actually, to get that peace and love, we've got to go through a massive storm. And at the moment, we're in it. Do you know what I mean?
The one thing I would say to add on to that is that, well, the thing is, we've got to get over this thing that we can actually affect change in somebody. No, that's wrong.
I know what you're trying to say, yeah. I'm not here to change anything. People have to change themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly that. I'm just going to say that, you know, people really need to take a good look at themselves, because the things on the outside are actually within.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
The mindset needs to change, because you need to get into the habit of things are happening for you. Yeah. They are not happening to you. Yeah. It's not personal. The universe is sending you lessons and seeing if you can handle it. Yeah. Get over yourself. Now, that's basically the mindset change you need to take.
But I said right from the beginning, it is the fact that when we come onto this planet, when our souls come back into the bodies we're in, we have a choice to be here or not. So when they say, do you want to go to Earth? And you might say, oh, I'm not sure about that. I'll think about it. And then eventually you say, yeah, I need to go there. But you would see a plan. The plan would be shown to you inside. The universe would give you that plan, and you would have that knowledge. And what I said earlier on sounds as mad as a bag of spanners. But the fact is, when you're born here, all you're doing is a retracing, a regression on what you've done before anyway. Because we've been here and done this before.
To relearn yourself, basically. Yes. Relearn and correct anything that you may or may not have done previously.
And we can bury our head. Me and you could not be doing this at all. We could be sitting outside having about 3 or 4 bottles of wine, smoking some crack, and not worry about anything in the world at all, because nothing really exists. And all I want to do is die, you know.
Oh, well, that doesn't sound so good.
Sorry? Yeah, but that, if you want that mindset, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the mindset of everyone owes me a favor, when actually, what have they done? A lot of people haven't done anything.
No.
You know, not that you have to, you know, they go to work and they do all that, but what are they actually doing for them? What are they actually doing for those around them? Going back to your community-based idealism. What are, a lot of people are introverted and hold their little castle together with them. Yeah. Well, that's all going to fragment.
That's taught, isn't it? That's what we're taught to do.
Yeah.
Hold your little castle, get married, have children, blah, 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 whatever. I would just like to say that whoever said that, this is one topic that really pisses me off, is that when you actually start talking about utopia to certain people, they shit themselves because they couldn't handle living in utopia. Because they love to have the drama in their life. They love to be suffering.
Yes.
They want it. I'm sorry, that is just how it is. There's a certain thing called Stockholm syndrome, where the oppressed actually start to love the oppressor.
Yeah.
That's happening.
It is.
There's MK Ultra, which was mind control from the
mind control kids. Yeah.
Still going on today.
Yeah.
There's lots of them, you know. So, you know, we're being attacked from every angle. But whoever said utopia wasn't achievable was a fucking liar. And I'm going to call you out on it. Yeah.
It's interesting, though, because you're absolutely right. And people might not even be aware they're doing it. That's the thing. It's a bit like, you know, you're on Facebook and you wake up in the morning and you say, well, I feel pretty crap today. I don't feel right. And lots of people come on and say, oh, I hope you feel better soon. You know, just looking for something. Looking for something. I want people to feel sorry for me. And then you put a quote on there saying, I'm just having a cup of tea and I'm just making some toast. And they go, oh, that's really sweet. You know, and it's like, look, you know, you don't need to tell people that for a start. You know, if you can't deal with one night that you're struggling like that, it's because you won't face your own self.
Yeah, it is.
And you want other people to make it better. And look, we've all been there, you, me, everyone, where we've had times in our life where we've had not just things taken away, but we have been taken to a mental source within inside ourselves that has made us question everything and whether we can carry on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree.
That has been there. That's come to us. We've been there, done that, worn the t-shirt. And many people in spirituality who are real have been there as well. And when you got taken to such a low depth that you have absolutely nothing, when you are there contemplating whether this is a good place to be or whether you should go somewhere else, and then there's a spark that ignites inside yourself and tells you, no, because you're a fighter and you're meant to be here and your mission is this. And then you go on your mission.
Yeah. Well, this is a little bit of my mission. Is I basically want to create a network of people that really want to.
I joined your. I only talked about it. I joined your spiritual unity.
Okay, cool. I'm basically looking at starting with the spiritual people because mainly. On the whole, most people I've met have been generally amazing and lovely. And, you know, I think it's about time that if you really class yourself as a light worker and you really want to affect some change in this world, then we really need to start working on the same team and on the same page. And it's so long overdue. There's just so many egos. And I know that, you know, it could all fall apart tomorrow, but...
which it often does. If you look at Glastonbury, everyone says, what a community-based town. It's the most uncommunity-based town you'll ever go to. They're at loggerheads with each other constantly.
But that's why this will only resonate with the people that it needs to resonate.
Absolutely, yeah.
If it doesn't resonate with you, there is no hard feelings, and I still love you all the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is my mission, and I'm here to try and connect people. I want to create a network of communities, and basically, there is a website, and there will be a website. I'm just finishing it off, as I have said for the last 6 weeks. I've been so busy.
Yeah.
I want to create a physical network and a online network. And the only reason I'll be using online is because, obviously, physically, some of us won't all live together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically, there are already communities and communes all around, especially this area of the world. You know, Southwest, there's quite a few, but there's a few in America. There's definitely lots in Spain and Portugal and the like. And it's time to really sort of get away from what's coming because actually we've done our job, most of us.
Yeah, I think we have.
We've done a good job, and the case that actually the info war, I think we've pretty much won because as soon as something's dropped, it's picked up and shared.
Yeah.
So, you know, at the end of the day, we need to start concentrating on what we want to co-create, what we want to manifest, because if we don't, we're going to have what they're going to dish up. And I tell you what, they've had 40 odd years to plan this last bit. Yeah. They've had centuries and millennia to plan the rest. So, you know, it's really time that we really help Gaia and Mother Earth shift.
Absolutely. And there is change happening. There's no doubt about that. There is change happening. And all those in the community know, you know, everyone says, well, when this lockdown going to be over and we get back out and spend money and forget about ourselves again. I'll tell you what, we'll go through that phase, probably July, August time. Come October, everyone's going to be locked down again.
Yeah, that is the last thing I'll say about all this is this was the drill.
Yeah.
The next phase is actually, well, whether you believe 5G will affect you with coronavirus or not, I can assure you when they turn it up to fucking 90 gigahertz, there's going to be a lot of people that die. And I'm not kidding. And that is just what it is. It's frequency. If you're all energy work, you know, if you understand about energy, you'll understand at a certain frequency, you will die.
Yeah.
But
isn't it interesting because nobody actually listens? Nobody actually sees the fact that countries like Switzerland and other countries have refused to have it.
Yeah, developed in Israel, Israel won't have it. Brussels banned it straight away.
Yeah.
Switzerland. Yeah. Why is that? Oh, that's where all the bankers live, isn't it?
Of course it is. It's the same as why. I mean, Jason actually brought it up on my Cosmo one week, and when Wuhan got hit, but Shanghai and the other province didn't, because obviously that's where all the dignitaries live in one, and all the bankers and the commerce live in the other.
Yeah. Yeah. The last thing I'm going to say about this bit is that, you know, since 1992, 178 governments signed up to Agenda 21. That's pretty much the whole world. So if you think that Agenda 21 isn't going to pan out and play out, then I'm sorry, but David Icke is correct. Hunger Games is coming.
Yeah.
Because that is what they are going to dish up for you. If you allow, if you start a community now and we all start working on the same page, we can defeat this monster. And it's a case of you need to learn who you really are, and it's the law. You need to know what your rights are. You can't have any rights if you don't know what they are. It's pretty simple, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
You know,
but for all those people listening, all those people listening to you, if they're listening, I mean, I'm going to the people in Manchester, Liverpool, London, Newcastle, that really haven't got any morals or discipline or anything about themselves. Basically, all they want to do is go out and get smashed out of their brains and take loads of drugs, and not really interested in working or doing anything. All they want to do is cause anarchy and chaos. Now,
hence, you just cannot save. You cannot save these people.
No, you can't. But these are the people that will cause a lot of ructions in the time that we're going to go through, I feel, in relation, even though we are doing what we're doing, there will be, as with everything, for something to change. It's not like taking your jacket off and putting another jacket on. It's like taking your jacket off and then finding a jacket and putting it all together to put back on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think where it all went wrong is that we're taught to basically always look outside ourselves for the answer. And also, you know, don't be accountable. Don't be responsible in a certain respect, because we are taught to wear masks. Or don't behave like that in front of your nan. Don't do this in front of them.
Yeah.
Or you must make sure you say this to them. It's always a different mask. And what we've got away from is actually being authentic. Like you just said earlier, you know, if you meet me, you hear me on the show, but if you meet me in the person, I'm exactly the same. Yeah. I am who I am. I'm the authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've forgotten to teach that to our children because it's been brainwashed and removed out of us, you know, by the schooling and the fooling.
Yeah.
You know, common sense. Where's the common sense gone? For fuck's sake! And
I tell you what, even though some really bad things have happened in my life, and even though that it is really grim at times, I'm really glad and pleased that I've been through all of that to be where I sit now. You know.
Yeah.
But a lot of people can't say that because a lot of people don't even know who they are.
And a lot of people have already stepped off the realm. And gone.
Jan Cardi says there's too much ego, and she also says yes, we all need to stick together, but I feel that there are so many people who want to go back to a life before this happened, and they don't want to look within. No, they don't, because it's hard, it's harsh, it's not good.
And it's that point right there, Jan, is why they cannot be saved.
Yeah,
you cannot convince them of anything, and you know, to be fair, you don't really have any right to either. It's on them, I'm afraid. The time for you have to be accountable and responsible for you. And if everyone did that, guess what? The world would change overnight. It would be instant.
Yeah.
Because hang on a minute, I've got no mask to hide behind. I am who I am. I'll get caught. Oh, actually, I did say that. And oh no, I'm going to get put in. You know, bring back the law. There's so much lawlessness in this country and in the world. Yeah, treason has been committed. Worldwide treason, yes. You've been lied to on a level that's uncomprehendable.
I know. The royal family, and everyone in Parliament should be locked up, basically.
Yes.
Because of what they've done. And when people say, "Well, they haven't done anything," well, actually, then go and research, and you find they actually have.
Yeah, it's just a case of, you know, like I was saying before, the vision I've had is that, you know, we have to show these people. If they want to listen, great, and they, you know, we might be able to convert some more. But the ones that are are just not going to have it, and they have every right not to.
But that may be on their path coming here. They weren't meant to.
No, exactly. They've probably come here to teach us more than we've
Spirituality is not a fad. It's not a fashion. It's a way of life. When you open that door to yourself, you can't switch it on and off. Those that say, well, I switch reality when I want to, you can't do it. It's rubbish. It's on all the time. And the fact is, you run with an energization about yourself that is motivated from off-world, not on-world. And that connects completely with the earth you're on in nature, which is really the realistic, the one thing that oversees everything is nature on this planet, and it does on many others.
And as Mother Earth is shifting, and she's pretty much nearly there, you know, we need to learn to ground ourselves a lot more.
Yeah.
So many people aren't grounded at all. The fact you wear trainers is the fact that you're never grounded. You know, and I know lots of you already know this stuff, but you know, I just want to get this vision out, because at the end of the day, a lot of us have had it and already started that vision, and it's great. It's amazing. But I'm really talking about creating a platform where we can just use it for trade and banter, use it for conversations that we would have in person. Yeah. Rather than hiding behind an avatar or hiding behind a keyboard or a camera. You know, at the end of the day, say what you mean and mean what you say.
Yeah.
You don't need to hide.
Yeah.
And show it. Well, I mean, for us that know, we can
that's
see.
That's why I do this show. Anyway. That's why I do this show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not frightened. I'm not in fear. You know, they don't scare me. If anything happened to me, a lot of people have a lot of questions. You know, a lot of questions, wouldn't they? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. One is, why does your government care so much now?
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
There's this whole notion that we're in this together.
Oh.
I just say, for on the record, that we are clearly not in this together.
I mean, it shows you how loopy they are. Well, the last thing they put there was the fact that be alert. Be alert. And what was the second thing was what was the thing with the virus?
Oh, there has been so many.
Be alert, and then it was container virus or something like that. You can't even see it, and we all got it anyway. So you know.
Oh dear me! It's just theatre, and that is what you really need to understand.
Yeah.
If you've been in show business, like you have, like I have, like a lot of people have, it is theatre. With a camera and a script, I can make you believe anything.
Absolutely. Go back to Nazi Germany.
Yeah, fucking right. Propaganda, man.
And the one they had before, I found it here actually. The one they had before that was coronavirus. Stay at home to help us save lives. Act like you've got it.
Yeah. What?
Act like you've got it. And somebody's just reminded me. Actually, it was the one I was just talking about. Be alert. Control the virus. Be alert. Control the virus, save lives. Be alert and control. How can you be alert for what? Where is it? I can't see it.
Yeah.
And you know, control a virus. You know, can you control water in your hands? It's madness.
Oh, but you can go.
And it's all. I'll tell you who it is. I'll tell you who it is for. All of that fault is a man that is a scum on this planet. I'll tell you that I have no time for at all. I'm not going to go on a rant about him because I normally do when I speak about this man. Dominic Cummings. Scum. If nobody knows who Dominic Cummings is, go and look him up. You only have to look at him. He looks dark as anything. He don't care about anyone.
Yeah, but he's still ultimately here to teach people, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And you know, as much as you hate him, you also love him. Come on.
Well, yeah, but I don't. I like him. I don't like him at all because he has a different agenda. But you know, people want to listen to that. That's fine. If people want in power, listen to what he says because he's guided by a dark force, not light. An agenda, if you like. There's tits there.
I think what you're trying to say, Clint, is at the end of the day, when you've searched for the truth and you've looked under every rock, and then you look at these parasites who are in control,
Yeah.
potentially in control.
Psychopaths.
They're psychopaths, they're psychopaths, they're criminals. They are traitors, is what they are.
They are traitors. Yeah.
They are traitors. And if you think they don't know what they're doing, then you are even more clueless than you thought you were, because
I agree.
they fucking do. They know.
Agree.
Oh, yes. Yeah, they know when Sachi calls them out on their bullshit at one of these protests or one of these rallies.
Isn't it
and they
funny?
They run, mate.
Yeah, but...
I approached one a long time ago.
Yeah.
What was his name? Neil Parrish, East Devon, whatever. Just not a very nice man. But when I called him out on some of the corruption and what was it I said to him? It was about the Constitution. And do you know what? I don't think he even looked me in the eye. He was out the door.
Yeah, of course he was.
Can't have a real conversation. Oh, but it's all right for you to go up on stage in a hustings and just talk bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was I don't understand people how they don't progress. Like, look at what these people have done to us.
I know.
Starting from Thatcher, really.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Oh my God, just go up into the north and destroy all those communities.
And then they all vote for you to come in.
Yeah. And you're voting for something you think is going to change. How? How have you not had this question of what? Why? I don't know. I think maybe it is just a case of maybe they get the mentality they think there's nothing they can do on their own, and it is a helplessness thing. It is a what the fuck? What's the
well, to a degree, I think you're right. I do think you're right with that. Yeah.
Because I'm not saying that maybe like the older generation aren't unaware of some of this shit. Of course they are. They would have seen the corruption for years. Come on. But, at the end of the day, when the system's so hell-bent on just going along and having a secret agenda, is it any wonder that people give up a long time ago? I think the 60s was the last time that people actually started to come together. And then the 70s hit, didn't they? Look what she did to it.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Was the hardest recession we've ever had, I think, maybe?
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't. I wasn't here. But, at the end of the day...
I was very young, by the way.
Compulsive liars. And, they actually work for a company that you work for. And we just need to get to the place where you understand that everything has a construct. Everything is constructed around you, and you have no idea about it. Yeah. So it is really time to start listening to the guys that may have studied the law and who perhaps don't have an axe to grind, because I don't need a following. I think we need to get away from the whole leadership thing. We don't need to be led. If you need to be led, that means you need to follow.
All we need to do is be ourselves and be with people that are themselves.
Yeah, exactly. You need to stand in your own power and know your worth and know that you are the same as every other fucker in this realm.
Yeah.
Everyone. There is no one higher or lower than you. We're all equal. That is the one thing that needs to change in a mindset. There is nothing that makes you better than me.
No.
Or worse than me. Nothing.
No.
Anyway, I'm going to say goodnight because you've probably got some other guests that you might want to get on.
I have. Yes, it's been absolutely fascinating talking to you, Matthew, as always. I always enjoy you on the show, and thank you very much for giving up your time.
Yeah.
And supporting the show as well. It's fantastic.
I do try and share it out, yeah.
Well, and I'm sure a lot of people got a lot from that. Do you know what I mean? What's important that if somebody says one thing that's a nugget, that it resonates with somebody, then that person tomorrow or later on or even tomorrow talks to somebody and says, oh, that person said this last night. And then they go and look at it and they research and then they tell 10 people. Do you know what I mean?
They're the seeds. I just want to say that, don't think that I have no compassion. I try and love everyone as best I can, and I always get burnt when I have my heart too open. So, at the end of the day, if there was a thing that come along, or if everyone stood up for their rights, then yes, of course I would join. But I think the thing is you have to do the inner work.
Yeah,
you have to go through the shadows to come out the other side. And I can't do that for you. I can't show you how to do it, and I can't be the guru or the leader that you want me to be. I'm sorry, that's just not ever going to happen.
None of us can be that. All we can be is people, that person on passage.
No, exactly that. So I would say that if you want to come and join my group, I'm on Facebook, I'm on MeWe, and the website
Yeah,
is going to
MeWe.
be...
I joined that the other day, actually, and then you started a group on there, so that's fantastic.
Well, I just thought I'd do a backup group because Facebook is just getting ridiculous. I can't post anything without them going all that.
Oh, I know, yeah. Well,
I shared a paragraph out of Mein Kampf from Hitler.
Yeah, taken off.
About control and all the things that are perhaps going on at the moment, and I was banned for 18 hours from speaking. Sorry, what? You can't just delete this guy from his story. I'm sorry, that did actually happen.
It did happen, yeah. And in the Vatican vaults and in the libraries all around with the high influential people supposedly in this world, who all have copies of that book on their bookstore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Books there.
Yeah.
Debbie Johnson says, "Brilliant, Matthew. So interesting."
Thank you, Debbie.
Jan Cardy says, "Thank you, Matthew, for sharing your views." I thank you as well, because I like you because you're real. Do you know what I mean? And you remind me of what I used to be like at your age as well. It's good. It's really good. And, keep up the good work, Matthew. I know it's never easy. It's not an easy job. None of this is easy, but no one said it was going to be easy. But,
it's all part of the challenge.
It is.
It's all part of the challenge. I'm actually starting to really enjoy it, to be fair, and we haven't even started yet. So,
no.
Yeah.
I mean, I will constantly, when I get stuff, I will put it on my wall. When I get stuff, I will send it out to a select group of people, not everyone, which you're one of them, which will get anything that I get sent that I feel is very interesting, because it might just piece together other pieces. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
as we all do.
Yeah, totally. Right. Good night.
Yes.
Good luck.
Thank you, Matthew. Have a good rest of the evening, and we'll speak soon.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you. Good night, guys.
All right. Thanks a lot. Bye. Bye. There's Matthew John. What a lovely guy he is. People like Matthew, people like me to a degree, sometimes a bit like Marmite, sometimes not sure, whatever. The important factors is we're just ourselves. There's no Matthew's the same on there as when you speak to him and see him. Exactly the same. And David Icke is exactly the same when you see him as you see him on TV. There's no difference. When you see me, exactly the same as I am on here. I don't sit on here with makeup on and I'm trying to be something I'm not. I'm just being me, because the reason why I do this is because I want people like Matthew to be heard. I want people like Viv Johnson to be heard. Viv Johnson, who only a couple of months ago wouldn't have done anything like this, but feels that she needs to get out something within inside herself. And of course, Patrick Gamble, an immensely, very, very strong in his field for what he does and everything, and an immensely knowledgeable person. And, I respect him. He takes time out to come on here. This is not about money. It's not about anything. It's about community. We're a bit like what Matthew was talking about in a way. And I know we're building online communities in a way, which is good. And I do know that we're cross-referencing that with other people in other groups. So, we carry on doing that, and lots of people get the knowledge. So we are waiting for our last guest. We are running up to, we are going to end tonight at 10. So we have got our last guest coming up, which is a universal man, which actually I don't know who that could be. Who could be the universal man tonight? Now, we've had all sorts of people on this show, coming from all sorts of walks of life. And I do feel very strongly that, people come on here to express their views. It doesn't matter if we agree, not agree, or whatever. It is an open forum. So, it's very important. So we're just waiting now for the universal man to give us a ring. If he's listening, Mr. Universe, you can ring through here to live in the studio, and have your say on whatever the universal man wants to talk about, or a man of all seasons. We've had many, many different guests on here. My God, some really, really amazing. Well, everyone's amazing, but everyone brings something different to the table. Do you know what I mean? And hopefully The Universal Man will ring any minute. I'm running out of news here. If I look at what else we got here in the news, what else we got here? Surge in TV wannabe. Love Island applications have hit a record high during lockdown, with more than 12,000 singletons seeking a place on the summer series. What about that? I don't watch it personally. It's not my bag, but here he is. This is the Universal Man, and I wonder who the Universal Man is tonight. Hello, Mr. Universe. How are you?
I'm sorry, who are you?
Hello, who are you?
I'm Doug.
You're Doug.
Doug, yeah.
That's your name. Hello, Doug. Well, thanks for ringing. You are through to Clint Denyer on the world internationally around renowned Inview show. So, how did you get my number, Doug?
Well, it was left in the pocket of one of the deceased I buried.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So one of my listeners died. Oh no. My only listener. No, I'm not joking. So when you took his, when you went through his coat pocket, you obviously found my number.
Well, I didn't find it. It fell off.
Oh. And so your name's Doug. So by any chance, do you dig holes for a living?
Yeah, my name's Doug Graves.
That is your name, Doug Graves.
Yeah, Doug Graves, and I'm one of a long line of.
You're a long line of Graves.
Excuse me.
You're one of a long line of Graves.
God, it gets a bit dusty in here today.
Yeah, Doug. Well, you in a grave at the moment?
No, I'm in the mortuary.
All right. So you come from a long line of graves.
No, long lines of grave diggers.
Yeah, grave diggers. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, and you know,
yeah, we go all the way back. And then there was a bit of a stopping point, and then
was that like the Black Death or somewhere like that?
No. We've been going for several, about 800 years.
Really? Wow.
But we didn't have much luck. We didn't have much work in that. Come 1666 and that.
It wasn't that busy then. 1666.
No, that was a great fire in London because they were all.
Oh
cremated.
yeah. Well, they all burnt, so they all got cremated, didn't they? So they didn't need to be buried. Because you only do burials, I presume, don't you?
Yeah. So times were tough then.
So how are you finding it at the moment in the times we're living in with coronavirus and all that? Are you very busy?
No, we're not very busy at all because all these people sort of have died, unexpectedly-ish, and they're getting cremated, aren't they? So,
oh yeah, I suppose it would be, yeah.
Yeah, I've been furloughed.
So you've been furloughed as a gravedigger?
Yeah, how laughable was that, a gravedigger being furloughed.
That's amazing. So, but you're still in the mortuary at the moment?
Oh yeah, I am. I'm playing cards with my apprentice over there.
Oh right, I thought you might have had a lay down, a body bag or something.
No, I don't have a lay down, a body bag. No, I just lie down and go sleep in a coffin there.
Oh right. Well, you need to see a doctor about that.
No, not really, because I'm coughing in the coffin. And if I went to the doctor and said I'm coughing in the coffin,
so
he'd look at me a bit strange.
Well, I suppose he would, yeah, especially if you came in with you walking in the coffin itself.
Well, yeah, I could put special holes in the bottom and then put my legs through it.
Yeah, well, I suppose it'd be easy if you put wheels and then your mate could just wheel you there, couldn't they?
Well, it could do, but it'd be like a monster's coffin car.
It would. Yeah. Well, it's not like the hand. You imagine just taking the hand in there.
What thing? Yeah.
Thing,
well,
yeah. So, I mean, in your, this is like we're at 9:45 in the evening on a Sunday, and you are at work at the moment, but you're on furlough and you're playing cards with your mate.
Well, yeah, he's buggered off a little while. About 10 minutes ago, he buggered off to see his girlfriend.
Did he? Is he allowed to do that?
Well, we're grave diggers. We
Oh,
can
right.
do anything. You know, nobody comes near us.
Debbie Johnson, there's a comment on here, says that he's obviously a vampire in disguise. Are you a vampire in disguise?
No comment.
So you could be a vampire. So you could be portraying yourself as a gravedigger, but actually you're a vampire on furlough.
I'm a lot of things.
I'm sure you are.
But if I was a vampire, that's just saying, if I was a vampire, you got that?
If you was, yeah.
I would well be bloody furloughed, wouldn't I? Because let's face it, there's not enough necks out there on the street.
Well, that's true. Yeah, there's not many people walking about to bite, is there?
No.
And obviously you'd be a long way from Transylvania as well, but they don't all have to live in Transylvania. I expect vampires, has branched out a bit from then, haven't they?
Well, that was the fatherland. But I'm not saying no more about that.
I mean, Debbie asked that. It's interesting because he says he's obviously a vampire in disguise. Very interesting question. Very psychic, you know. And she says also working late and all that. Because it is a bit late on a Sunday evening for you to be furloughed, sitting and playing cards in a mortuary. I mean, it's like you're waiting for a body to come in.
Well, yeah, there's that point as well. But normally we'll be out digging the graves at night, you see.
Do you find your teeth change?
No, my teeth don't change.
Huh.
No, not straight away anyway. They do after a while.
On a full moon?
No, not on a full moon. That's no rubbish. That's all bollocks. It's after.
You don't change into a werewolf or anything, do you?
No, I'm changing a werewolf, nothing like that. Not a vampire. Oh, I shouldn't say nothing, should I, really?
Well, no. I mean, we're now I'm sure a lot of people listening are starting to think that Debbie's actually psychically picked up that you're actually a vampire in disguise, being a gravedigger. I suppose, you know, you like them to get there when they die so they're still warm, really, don't you?
No, on the contrary, that's no good to me.
Oh.
No, I want them cold. I want them cold on the slab.
Right. And, you know, as a gravedigger, obviously, they're not, you obviously don't get the bodies out because they're just going to turn up in a coffin and you bury it, don't you?
Oh, they turn up in a coffin and they go into the mortuary bit. There's a big building we got on the side there. And we take the bodies out and we put them in some kind of, well, depending on what their last wishes were.
Right.
What they send to us, you know, my company, is a bit different than what they say, because most of the time they know they're going to die, you know.
Yeah.
And they write down what they want their.
So do you go through the embalming process?
Sometimes it's different, you know. Sometimes what they want their family to see is different than what they really want.
Right.
So as far as their family's concerned, you know, they tell the family, right, you know, I want to be put in this casket, you know, I want to wear this and wear that. But that's not what they really want. So when they put them in the coffins, they get here to where I am, right, and they get in on the slab, well, next to the slab, and we open up the coffin and we take the body out on there, take all his clothes off and bury him naked.
Wow.
Because that's what they want.
Yeah.
Because that's where they want to go. Because what they feel is, if the body is there and intact, no clothing, and that would stop what's left of the spirit, which, as far as they're concerned, is like 2 or 3 months after burial, it leaves, but he can't leave because it's in a weakened state. He can't leave up through the clothing.
Really? So the soul can't leave because he's wearing clothes?
No. The soul leaves, but most part of it leaves. But there's that little bit of drag, what would you call it? Residue.
Right. Okay.
The residue can't leave, you see.
That's interesting.
That's why when people go around graves and they think they see people when they get these visions and all that, because the residue, their spirit, their soul residue is there because they had been buried naked.
Right. That's interesting. So obviously he took this person's clothes off, and then I must have fell out of his pocket.
Who fell out his pocket?
Well, my number, and then you thought, well, I'll ring that number and see who it is.
Yeah, well, his wallet. His wallet.
Oh, his wallet.
Yeah, but he didn't have no money, nothing like that. Because, I mean, obviously, his family, put his clothes on and that sort of thing. And they just put an old wallet in there, and they had 1 or 2 cards in there, like a Costa card, and I think it was in a, what else was, I can't remember now, but then all of a sudden this other card fell out.
Yeah. And my ugly mush on it.
Well, I nearly lit it to light the fire in it, you see, and then there's a number on there. And so I called it, like, there's no name on there, and no nothing. So I just called it.
Well, that's a street number, isn't it?
Well, it is, but it isn't anymore. Who are you, anyway?
I am Clint Daniel. I run a program called the Inview, where I have lots of guests on come and talk about their lives or what they do. It's quite spiritual, and it's very interesting. And we talk about a lot of subjects that a lot of people don't talk about, that's brainwashed by TV.
Well, that pretty much covers a lot of things, because I've been thinking. I mean, we've only got small TV in the morgue here, and I have a look every now and then. And I'll tell you what, those 2 clowns, they do make me laugh.
Who's that? 2 clowns?
That's bloody Boris Johnson and Donald Trump. I mean, they look like chess pieces, don't they?
Well, they are very interesting, aren't they?
Well, they're not interesting at all. They're just pathetic.
Well, yes, but they're cartoon characters, aren't they? It's like something out of the Dandy or Beano.
Well, you've got, I don't know. I never read those.
Didn't you?
Never was it? No, I've only read Gravedigger Weekly. And,
oh God, that must be quite a read. Gravedigger Weekly, is it? What sort of articles is in that?
And the only TV program he really watched was Adam's Family and Monsters, like that sort of thing.
What's in Gravedigger Weekly then?
Well, everything you want to know about grave digging during the week.
All right. So how you cut the holes and how deep you go.
Yeah, and the different spade lengths and different metals and whatever you got. Tried these carbon fibre spades.
When you've been digging a grave, have you found anything interesting?
Oh yeah. I found plenty of interesting things in there. Yeah. Because sometimes, I mean, you dig up a big hole, for a grave, and you dig up a grave that's been there before.
Oh, yeah, I suppose you could do, because graves upon graves, isn't it?
Well, because people move headstones, you see, whatever, like that, to gain more land.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
And you dig up, sometimes you can dig up other graves that have been there several centuries before, and that is quite fascinating. When you pick up some old swords and things like that, and knives and jewellery, whatever, which is just laying there. Oh yeah, it's fascinating.
Matthew Johns asked, have you found anyone alive?
No. I ain't found anyone alive yet, because we set up, because years and years ago I read the book as well, and I watched the film Premature Burial by Edgar Allan Poe.
All right. What a lovely man he was, wasn't he?
Oh, what a great! He was like another Tesla, but in the book
Yeah.
trade, like, you know, in the horror, he was the grandfather. He was starting off the horror genre.
Yeah.
Edgar Allan Poe. If it worked for him, there'd be no Stephen King or Clive Barker or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. No Christopher Lee, no Boris Karloff.
No, nothing like that. We owe a great debt to that man.
Wow, and that's a Bible to you, I suppose. Also, Egyptian Barmers are not Obama. Egyptian embalmers are probably people you look up to as well, aren't they?
Oh yeah, there's the granddaddy of them all, Imhotep, who invented embalming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nobody knows what they do they?
Sorry, what?
Nobody knows what they do.
No, I suppose they don't. But, you know, things like that were going on, you know, 2,000 years before Hippocrates was even born.
And they used to take brains out of your nose.
Well, yeah. Who knows that?
Matthew John says, Matthew John said, I've heard goats like digging graves. Do you get much competition?
No, we don't get any goats here. We leave Moreland. Because I'm not far from Moreland.
Oh, right. So it must be quite. Have you been out there digging late at night when you've seen ghosts?
I see one or two, but they tend to walk on the road these days, you know.
Really? Well, they're hitchhiking.
They don't go cross country, they just walk on the roads. No, because there's no bugger coming along the roads, is there?
No,
So
I suppose there ain't.
Roads.
So, I mean, you know, you've got a pretty safe job, really, so you don't need to worry about social distancing, do you?
Social distancing, yeah. That's a joke, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah. I mean, and obviously, one of the things you're really looking forward to is when they open a pub, I would imagine.
No, not bothered with that.
No?
No. We got our own bloody pub here, haven't we?
Have you?
Yeah. We got it. Nobody knows, the owners don't know about it.
Oh, right. So you've got a little social club, really, in the mortuary, haven't you?
Yeah, well, it's underneath. Yeah, we got a hatch door and steps. We go down. When it ain't that busy, we got dartboard, we got pool table. Well, not pool table, it's a bar billiard table. Remember that?
Yeah.
And,
I mean, how many members of your club?
We got 59.
59 people.
Yeah.
Are they all alive?
Well, that would be telling, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it would. Yes.
I'm not limited to folks.
You got 59 members, some alive and some not so alive, that drink in your little den underneath the mortuary.
Yeah. And it's funny seeing some of these people having a drink or two, because they are pretty much as they died. Some of them have been shot,
Right.
So when they have a drink and they start drinking the beer or something or cider, it starts coming out the holes they were shot in.
Oh my God!
It's quite amusing.
But they can still stand and have a drink. They sound like ghosts to me.
Yeah. Well,
or are they zombies? They could be zombies, actually.
No, they're not ghosts, and they're not zombies.
Oh.
That's stereotypical.
Oh yeah, I suppose it would be. Yeah, so a bit rude to them, really. There, sorry.
It is. These are. I don't know how to explain it, but they're not nothing like that.
Right.
These are people that have been dead for a few years, right? And they come out of the ground, and they just assume nature pulls their faces back together, it's weird.
So do they talk to you? What do they say?
They say, "Can I have a pint, please?"
Well, isn't that a bit frightening when they come in and ask you that?
You said your name's Clint, didn't you? Right, Mr. Clint.
Yeah.
I've been working in mortuary for years.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I've been a grave digger. It's from a grave digging family for years.
Yeah, you're a long line of graves, aren't you?
Grave diggers, yeah. Nothing surprises me in that time. Nothing surprises me. I've seen it all.
I bet you have.
I've seen ones that get put on the slab there, whatever, and all of a sudden, someone, one of the hands, I had to fire him. This is about 6 months ago. I had to fire him because he started trying to pull this ring off this person that he put on the slab, and this person woke up.
Did he?
Yeah.
What did he say? Get off my ring.
He said, "Oi, leave my ring alone."
Blimey.
Yeah, and the bloke I was with said, "I ain't going nowhere near your bloody ring, mate," and I buggered off. And I said, "Well, I'll come back next day. I'll come back."
But he was dead, obviously.
Yeah, but he was. We got up, and I wasn't too sure because this is only like the third one, and like I've seen that this happened in 30, 40 years.
My God.
So I did the old breath test, with a mirror and.
What, with yourself?
No, in the mirror in front of his mouth, so he's breathing. He's going to leave breath behind, the old breath test. And then, there was nothing there. And then I did a pulse test, finger across his breast, no pulse. I said, "Oh, you're dead, aren't you?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You're loving it, ain't you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm dead loving it." I said, "Well, you want to come down to the club then, down the stairs for a beer?" He said, "Yeah, fucking right." So you go down the pub, downstairs, and I sit at his table. I sent one or two other over him, and they were getting on fine, it was lovely. It was like a house on fire.
Really?
You'll be surprised if the underground goes on underneath.
Right, it sounds like it, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't get much trouble because they can't hurt each other, can they?
Well, no, not really, no. But they do get a little bit funny sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, they do. All of a sudden, the one might get a little bit aggressive, and then the other one might get all a bit soppy or something like that, and they'll be crying.
Right.
And wanting to leave, and it took me a while to figure this out. But most of these people, right, have been living around this area for a long, long time, like a lot of years.
Yeah.
A lot of years they have, in houses and that sort of thing. And what happened was, I found out quite by accident, actually. And what was going on was that you had these paranormal investigators type people, and they go around to these houses, and they go around to these hotels and play pubs and that sort of thing. And they were trying to, contact, and it disturbed these people. You see,
right?
The ones, would be like it disturbed them. Some of them got aggressive because whoever was trying to call out, and that was getting a bit aggressive. Well, I don't know, but it just seemed to marry up with them, because the town near me, a paranormal hotspot sort of thing. Like there's one or two ghostly hotels and all that sort of thing. Yeah. And they come from all over the place, and the locals here underground with me, they don't like it too much. So,
well, they like to keep themselves to themselves, I bet, don't they?
Well, that's it. Because if they have to go to, they get sent over towards the light by these investigators or something. That's if they know what they're doing. Some of them are asswipes. They ain't got freaking clue. Some of these poor spirits, some of these poor people, they end up halfway through a wall down here.
Really?
So I have to dig them out and pull them through. Yeah.
God.
Because they tell them to see the light, and it's the wrong light, they go towards.
Wow, yeah, that's true. Debbie Johnson says this is Entity 1 and Entity 2, known as Dave 1 and Dave 2.
Well, yeah, you never know.
Fascinating.
Somewhere.
I've never spoken to an undertaker like you before.
That's better. I'm sorry. What was that?
I never spoke to an undertaker like you before.
I'm not an undertaker, old boy.
Aren't you? What are you then?
No. I'm Doug the Gravedigger.
Oh yes. Oh sorry. Yes, you are. You're
Doug Graves the Gravedigger.
you're Doug the Gravedigger. Doug Graves from a long line of graves. I like saying that.
Gravediggers.
Yes. Well, I tell you what, it's fascinating talking to a gravedigger and the immense complications of what you have. I didn't even realise that you're allowed to have a pub under a mortuary that was serving dead people. But you know, I mean, in today's world, anything can happen. You know, and it obviously does, doesn't it?
Well, it does. It's still on top in Bridgewater.
And obviously you're not very busy, so you obviously spend a lot of time with them, I should imagine. So you spend a lot of time with the dead.
Yeah, that's my job, spending a lot of time with the dead.
Yeah, well, I expect that, you know, you prefer spending time with the dead than you do the living.
Yeah, they're not very good at darts, though. That's the only thing.
Oh, dear. I'll tell you what, it's been fascinating talking to you, Mr. Doug Graves. Mr. Doug Graves. That's your name, Mr. Doug Graves?
Yeah, Mr. Douglas Graves.
Douglas Graves, yes. Well, it'd be very interesting one week to actually be with you when you're down the bar so we can talk to some of your dead people.
Well, yeah, I can take you down there, but there's just one problem.
What's that?
You'd have to be dead.
Oh, right. Yes, of course. Matthew John says, do you have a daughter called Xena? Xena.
Xena Graves? No,
Yeah.
No, nothing like that. Xena Graves? No, I'm sorry, that joke. I'm taking a joke. That's fallen dead. There must be some kind of...
But the thing is, you can't go down there with these people because they're dead. So how do you go down there?
To buy steps.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, that's understandable, you know.
Well, I mean, you haven't got a lot of money. I mean, you can't get lifts down from there down to the bloody pub.
Well, I know.
What do you think this is?
That's true. Yeah, that's very true. But, you know, obviously it must get a bit rowdy at times when you've got a lot of dead people in a bar.
Well, it does a little bit. It does a little bit. I mean, sometimes I'm walking down the post office, and you might get someone. You always get a busybody, don't you? Saying, "There's a lot of noise down there last night. How was all that about?" I used to say, "Well, it's just a dead having a party."
And they wouldn't believe you, would they?
No, of course they wouldn't believe me. Until one day.
What, they see them?
No, there was this, it was a kid, he's probably about 16, 17. And him and his mates, on the bikes. They go disrespecting, going through the graveyard and all that. They do what they do sometimes. And then one of them hit the gravestone.
All right. God, that woke him up.
No, it killed him.
Oh, what? Oh, what? Killed the boy?
Yeah, it killed the boy.
Oh, my God, that's terrible. What a terrible story. Oh, dear.
Well, yeah, it killed the boy. But he was a horrible boy. He was a horrible person. He disrespected everybody, disrespected the dead and all that sort of thing. So, when it was his time to come down here, right, come down, I said, "No, you ain't coming in, you're underage, boy."
Yeah. Yeah, but I suppose he is, isn't he, really, technically? And I suppose there is age even in the dead.
Well, yeah, he's underage. He can't come in here. So, we passed his coconut.
You give him a bag of salt and shake or something, did you?
Yeah, Coke with a packet of cheese and onion crisp with a pickled egg inside.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, they'd see much of it.
Those were the days.
With pickled eggs, yeah. Packet of cheese and onion crisp with a pickled egg inside.
Wow.
Lovely. Yeah,
Wow.
we do that. We do that down where we are.
I bet you do, yeah. I'll tell you what, it's been...
Mind you, we have to scrape all the bloody fungus and God knows what else off the bloody pickled eggs. We've been down there for a while, you see.
Yes, it sounds like you could die yourself if you eat that.
I dyed my hair. That's about all I've done so far. But you never know. I know where I want to come back.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, you've had privy, haven't you?
The pub of the dead.
Pub of the dead, yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it sounds fascinating. It sounds, I mean, and I thank you very much for ringing us and enlightening what you're doing, because I'm sure people out there have never spoke to somebody that digs graves. It's called Doug.
No, probably not.
Who comes from a long line of graves. So,
Diggers.
Yeah, diggers, yeah. And you know, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, and it's been enlightening. Having a pub of the dead, which is really interesting. Yes. And we will speak.
It's a pub you're dying to get into.
Well, yes, it sounds like it's a pub you're dying to get into. I'm sure there's a lot of people like that right now. We will speak to you soon, Mr. Doug.
Yes, well, I'm sure he will.
And you take it easy, and don't, you take it easy, and you look after them,
Yeah. It's an exclusive club, you see.
Oh, it is. Obviously, you can't go in it unless you're dead.
Well, if you're cremated, you can't come in, can you?
No, because you'd be in bits, wouldn't you?
Well, we need several number of people, employed, won't we?
Yeah.
To put all the pieces together.
No, that'd take a long time, wouldn't it?
It would take a long time. Well, there'd just be skeletons on it anyway.
Well, yeah.
So they won't drink nothing.
No. I suppose they could have some bone meal.
Well, they could have a bit of bone marrow, couldn't they? We could have that to eat, I suppose, and old bone bloody draft bitter or something.
I suppose it could, yeah. Well, that sounds quite interesting.
It does, doesn't it? Well, anyway, but
I'm sure we're going to speak to each other again, because now you've called in, my research team, which comprises of me, have collated your number, which means that we have got you on our list, which means that we may speak to you again in the not too distant future, Mr. Doug Graves.
Sometime in the future, I might even turn up in your place.
Oh my God, yes, with your grave diggers.
No. With my grave digger, my grave digger is just my spade.
Well, yes, yeah. Well, we could interview you and your spade.
Yeah, we could do that live, couldn't we?
Yeah, interview your spade live. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, when this lockdown's finished and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, because I use that pub down just down the road. I think it's near you.
It is. It's called Moreland's Arms.
Little Thatchers.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. I didn't know what it's called.
I drove past that one time a few years ago.
Yeah.
I had picked up a couple of dead people.
Wow. And they're in your club now, so that's good.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Jack and Jill. They're swinging like an old bugger. Yeah.
I'll tell you. Well, it's been fascinating talking to you, Mr. Doug Graves, from a long line of graves digging. And we will speak to you in the not too distant future.
Yes, I'm sure we will. And hopefully on this plane and not the other.
Well, yes, let's hope it's on this plane. I'm sure it will be, and it'd be really nice to see you and have you live on the show. Yeah. So you know, I'll get you to go back and play your cards and all sorts and that. Play your cards right. And I'll speak.
Well, he ain't coming in here.
No, he ain't coming in there. No.
He tried to get in, but no one sent him away.
Yeah.
She's too big.
Yes, way too big. They're size 15s.
That's right, yeah.
And we will speak to you soon, Doug Graves.
We'll speak to you.
Yes.
Soon. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
And we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Boy. Wow, there he is, Mr. Doug Graves. Really, well, you never know you're going to get on the show, do you? Doug Graves, what an interesting character that has a bar underneath a mortuary that sells dead people. Interesting. Very interesting. So we're coming to the end of the show. Who's on next week? We have got Melanie Morgan, Tonya and Francis Greywolf, Lisa Senseri, I'm sure I said that right, and Kerry Wallace. So quite a packed crowd again. Melanie Morgan, Tonya and Francis Greywolf, Lisa Senseri, and Kerry Wallace. That's on Monday. So May the 24th. I want you all have a good week out there. Hope you enjoyed the show tonight. It's been really, really good. And the amazing amount of guests we've had on. We will get Helen on. We will get hold of Helen, and we will get her on. And do stay safe out there. And Debbie Johnson says he was a Wurzel for certain. Well, he could have been. You know, he could have been a vampire. He could have been a lot of things. But apparently he's a grave digger. Thank you very much for listening. If you want to catch up with this show after the show is done, it's going to be put on my Facebook wall. If you want to subscribe to my channel here, you can watch them all the ones that I've done. That's the Inview and Inview Connect. And obviously you can put likes and share them as well. So, you know, don't be shy with it. Put it wherever you feel that people would like to see it. We will see you same time next week, 7 o'clock, where we'll have a plethora of guests again. Have a good week out there. Remember, if any of you want to contact me about anything you want me to talk about with guests on the show, or you have ideas, concepts, or, you know, you'd like to be a guest yourself, do not hesitate to Facebook message me, WhatsApp message me, or get hold of me on my mobile and text me 07403 436 942. All right, have a great week out there, and I will see you all next week. And stay safe, and we will do it all again next week. I look forward to it. Thanks a lot.